It's a beautiful day for baseball. Semi-final Saturday from the Southeastern Conference Tournament in Hoover, Alabama. Georgia, the number 3 seed, looking to stay on a roll as they take on 7 seed Ole Miss for the right to play for a title. The Rebels have been part of the incredible dramatics all week here in Hoover.
And here is Jonathan Dukoff. Can he be a hero in the 10th? Could this do it? Dukoff does it again. The walk-off win for the Aggies. They stay alive at the SEC tournament. Lifted high in the air. Blake to the wall. Home run. Georgia wins it on a walk-off home run. Cam Shepard with his 7th blast of the year.
Gunnar Altor come up with a chance to win it for State.
Up the middle. Pass Smith. We're going home after 17.
Second and third here in the bottom of the ninth.
Can't find the ball. They're going to try to score the tying run, and they do. And it gets away. LSU will walk it off. Oh, my goodness. What just happened?
You can't even make it up.
All you can say is LSU at Hoover.
And so we are set here on semifinal Saturday. Georgia Ole Miss to get started, and then the magicians from Red Stick, LSU, will try to take down the regular season champs Vandy, and will crown a champion with a 3 o'clock start tomorrow on ESPN2. And with that, welcome to the weekend, everybody. Time to play some baseball. Tom Hart, Chris Burke, Kyle Peterson, and a unique setup for Georgia today. They've got 2 aces. They're going to throw them both in a piggyback start.
I think some of this is just getting ready for next weekend. Georgia's going to be a top 8 national seed. They're trying to figure out who do you throw game 1 or game 2. It's going to be one of these 2 guys, so let's just throw them both today. Emerson Hancock missed a few turns this year. If he hadn't, he may win the Golden Spikes. The season has been that good for Hancock, the sophomore. If he was draft eligible, maybe the first player taken this year. Tony Losey is draft eligible, and we'll show you a mid-90s fastball. In the past, has come out of the bullpen, which is why Losey's doing it today. But you've got 2 guys that really can be aces that are going to go back-to-back today for Georgia. I don't think they'll need anything more than this. Want to make sure they both get enough work to be ready for next weekend.
And then there's the Ole Miss bats. They've been in a summer slumber already. After hitting the snooze button a couple times, they've come up with key hits late. They're only hitting $180, but they've come up with the big ones.
Yeah, it hadn't been pretty, just 9 runs in 4 games, but they have gotten timely hits, and they've pitched really well. The Ole Miss junior class came in to Oxford as the #1 recruiting class in America, and it's been all about the juniors this week. Thomas Dillard with the big hit in game 1. Cole Zabowski in the top of the 9th to beat the Aggies in a game where they were no hit through 8 innings, and they found a way to win that one. And then yesterday, Thomas Dillard off Matt Cronin, one of the best closers in America, gets the big hit to tie it. Gray Kessinger, the sac fly to win it. Ole Miss been coming up with big hits all week.
But they've got a challenge on their hands today, facing a 44-win Georgia team with quite a 1-2 punch when it comes to the pitching today. For more on that, let's go down to the field as we say hello to Chris Budden.
Hi, Tom. Well, who knows these pitchers and their personalities best than the guy behind the plate? Mason Meadows talking to me about how these guys are different. Let's start first with Hancock. He said what you get out of him is confidence. He's relaxed out there. He knows he's going to go out there and spot his pitches. With Losey, it's different. He goes, you know that you are in for a fight. He has the attitude. He has the grit. And when you go out there with Losey, you know you're going to war, and it's going to be a dogfight.
A dogfight indeed. Take a look at the Georgia batting order. 272 on the season. This is the one weakness for this Georgia team, which figures to be a top 8 national seed. But they've come up with big hits. They are fantastic fielding and great pitching, and they've got a guy, Aaron Schunk, that does it all for him. He'll hit third. He's got 5 home runs in his last 14 games, and he'll also come on to close it out for him. For Ole Miss, back to the powder blues again today. That seems to work. And a junior from Oxford, Houston Roth, part of that Oxford High School pipeline, coming to town for the Rebels, making his 4th start. He's 1-1 with an ERA just over 4. It's his first start since the first week of April. What can we expect from Houston Roth today?
Well, you got to think, if you're Ole Miss, if you can get 3 or 4, you feel pretty good. Houston Roth has had a pretty good season out of the bullpen. The 3 starts that he's had this year, he's given up at least 4 runs in every one of them. Hasn't gone more than 3 innings. So I think today for Ole Miss, if you can get him into the 4th or 5th, shorten this game, then go to the bullpen, they would absolutely take that.
He's a fly ball pitcher that should come in handy in this ballpark, and not much of a breeze today. Good for the pitchers, not necessarily good for the fans. It feels like 96 degrees down in the field right now. Tucker Maxwell in the leadoff spot, and the first pitch swinging. Anthony Servideo in right with the sunglasses on. There's one down. Here's how Ole Miss lines up defensively. Dillard, Olenek, and Servideo in the outfield. Keenan and Kessinger on the left side. Adams and Zabowski on the right side with Cooper Johnson, the strong arm catcher, behind the plate. 6th in the league in fielding percentage. They turn a lot of double plays, 40 of them. Tied for 3rd most in the SEC. Sophomore Riley King. And a first pitch strike from Roth, who pitched to a .96 ERA against SEC opponents this year. 8 home runs for King. He's reached base in 14 of the last 15 games. And 91 on the black to take it to 0-2. Doesn't take long to get loose in weather like this.
Woo, I tell you what, and you can see it at the velo. We saw some guys yesterday. Hoagland had an uptick in his velo. Houston Roth coming out. Fastball looked like it's getting out of his hand very nicely.
First of 2 today. It'll be Vanderbilt and LSU in the second semifinal as soon as we finish with this one. Rattle the mask of Cooper Johnson, and the count will stay 1-2.
We're going to talk some Cooper Johnson today.
Okay.
Because I want to get into a draft discussion about where you take a guy that I think could defensively catch in the big leagues right now. He's as good defensively as we have in the country. Draft coming up in a week and a half. That's pretty good now.
And he's receiving pitches from a guy, Houston Roth, who's relying on his fastball early. How about through the course of the season?
For Roth, and I think it's interesting to see what happens today when he's starting as opposed to coming out of the bullpen. But primarily fastball, slider. Show you a curveball, show you a changeup, but he's going to get guys out with really those first 2. What I like so far with a fastball, he throws about 60% of the time, is command on the glove side. So away to the right-hander, and that at bat right there against Riley King was very good. Finished him off with his best fastball of the day at 93.
Here's Aaron Schunk. .335 hitter on the season, but just 1 for 8 in this tournament.
It's a bit of a theme in this tournament.
Yeah.
Guys coming in hot, scuffling to produce offense. It's been a pitching-dominated tournament for the most part.
Yeah,
you guys saw some offense last night.
Yeah, we did. Team ERA overall 3.29 and combined 7.5 runs per game in this tournament. That's tied for the 5th fewest in SEC tournament history. Run rule win for LSU last night.
I think this is one of those days where hitters are going to have to commit to the fastball. You can tell Houston Roth is leaning on that heater here early. I can only imagine how good Hancock and Losey are going to feel on a day like today where it's hot.
That's hard day to get loose.
And they know they have a shorter stint. They're going to come out blowing gas.
Sounds familiar. 3 balls and a strike now to Aaron Schunk, who was an Olerud finalist last year as a third baseman and a closer. Hit .299 with 8 saves. Ball 4. He's had trouble putting hitters away with his breaking ball this year. They're hitting .314 against his slider. And a 2-out walk puts Aaron Schunk on. LJ Talley is looking for his first hit this week. Had a 10-game hit streak to close the season, but 0 for 8 in Hoover. Georgia historically hasn't performed well in this tournament. They've been the bridesmaid 3 times, but they haven't made it to the championship game since 1989. Dogs a national seed last year. Will be one again this year. Would like to take some hardware with them into the NCAA tournament next week.
Well, what we've seen from Georgia this week is what so many of us think will carry them to Omaha, which is pitching and defense. I mean, you've scored 5 runs and you're in the semifinals.
It's amazing.
Because you can really pitch and defend. And this young man right here is in a fantastic year offensively and defensively. How about a middle infield that's fielding 985? I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen that, but Shepard and Talley have been as good as anybody in America catching a baseball.
Shepard 3 errors at short. Talley 3 errors at second. Sullivan 1 error at first. Probably going to win some games.
Talley turns away from the inside fastball. And to be fair, they faced some pretty good pitching in this tournament. Although I don't know that anybody had Chris Webber taking a no-hitter into the 8th for A&M. But A&M got amazing pitching. Weber had a no-hitter in the 8th. John Doxakis did not allow a hit over 8 innings, and they went 2 and Q.
Yeah, and again, not just this team, but so many teams in this league we feel like can win regionals because of that. I mean, a team like Missouri, who may not even get in, has the kind of pitching and defense that you think could win in a regional. You could say that about a lot of these clubs, especially A&M. Maybe not as much on the defensive side, but on the mound they're as good as anybody.
A&M's going to be interesting when they get in a regional, and we'll get into it today as to whether or not they're hosting or traveling because they're right on the end. But they can beat anybody with that staff.
Runner on the move, and it's popped up to the left side. Kessinger called off by Thomas Dillard. And that'll end the first for Georgia. Thomas Dillard, the switch-hitting left fielder with speed and a great eye, will lead off for Ole Miss when we return to Hoover. Sun heat is fitting. It's a hot one today. Very little cloud cover. Mid-90s, I feel like, down on the field. Mike Bianco and his Ole Miss Rebels, red hot in the powder blues. 13-4 in those unis. Very fashion forward. He's won 2 tournament titles, including last season. They're looking to defend that championship. And they'll do it with this batting order, with Dillard in the leadoff spot. 5th in the league in average, 8th in the league in home runs. They score nearly 7 runs a game. They don't exactly knock the cover off the ball. But Dillard's been great here in Hoover this week.
He's especially been good since being inserted into the leadoff spot in this lineup. I love the move by Mike Bianco. I think it's really given his team a jolt. The numbers, bulk numbers, haven't been great for the team, but I just think there's a presence to Dillard hitting right out of the gate.
Remember a few years ago? Nope. Florida shows up. A.J. Puck's on the mound. A.J. Puck gets down with the game, and we looked at each other and said, you know what? That's what a first pick in a draft looks like. He was a sophomore then. This guy's a sophomore now, and this is what a first pick in a draft looks like. Emerson Hancock, just a sophomore, draft eligible next year, but leads Division I in WHIP. It's a 1.31 ERA. Low walks, high strikeouts, high velocity, and big-time stuff. It is an incredible combination for the sophomore that's put everything together this year.
2nd in the country in hits per 9, 4th in the country in ERA. And he has had 11 of 12 quality starts this season. First pitch, 98. Good afternoon, Thomas Dillard.
And hello. Wow. The cool thing is it's moving, too.
I think they're loose. I think they're loose already.
Double-digit home runs for Dillard in the leadoff spot. The junior from Oxford leading the way with 53 walks on the year. And there's the breaking ball.
So, KP, when you come out feeling this good and you know you got a shorter stint, is there a tendency to overthrow? Do you have to fight the...
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. And the environment plays into it, too. I mean, you win this one, you get a chance to win a league championship.
Take a look at Emerson Hancock's pitch usage on the season. No matter what he throws, they're all good.
Yeah, I mean, we see the velocity's 98, but I think what impresses me the most is he's a little more than 50% with a fastball. You see a lot of sliders behind it, but he throws close to 70% strikes with both the fastball and the slider. So for a high velocity guy with a ton of strikeouts, the ability to throw 2 at any time, and that third one, the changeup, They don't have any hits this year off of it. 0 for 40.
It's good.
Shift down for Dillard. Doesn't matter. Blue 98 right past him. Reminds me a lot, not just the usage, but also the mentality of Casey Mize, who went #1 overall. Let's see what Rob Friedman sees from Emerson Hancock's pitch selection.
Hello, Ninja. So a little pitching ninja, and we got Rob helping us with a bunch of stuff. That's a two-seam fastball. That's the slider. Put them together, and that's how tough it is if you're a hitter. Can't recognize it until it's too late. He'll throw that fastball-slider combination to righties and lefties, and he'll do it in any count.
Kessinger family always well represented when it comes to Ole Miss baseball. Here's Gray, the shortstop, and a first-pitch breaking ball. His uncle's in the radio booth. His dad and grandpa both played for Ole Miss. Grandpa Don on his way to the Cubs, where he was a 6-time All-Star. Kessinger's gotten better each and every year in this league. He basically started from day #1 at shortstop, and there were some struggles early on with the bat as a freshman. Just 175. Bumped the power last year to a 300 average and 326 coming into today. To the right side, and Patrick Sullivan will take it to the bag. 2 down. Georgia led by their pitching and their defense. King, Maxwell, Rogers in the outfield. Shunk, the closer, plays third, and next to Cam Shepard, came up with a walk-off home run earlier this week. Top 10 in the country in fielding percentage. Talley and Sullivan on the right side, and Mason Meadows has been sensational behind the plate, even though he's had to battle injuries throughout the season for Georgia. Only 1 error and 4 pass balls on Meadows. Tyler Keenan at the plate for Ole Miss. Breaking ball misses away, 1-0. You've seen a little bit of what Hancock has to offer. What are you thinking as a hitter?
Well, it's pretty remarkable that he started both Kessinger and Keenan off with breaking balls throughout the course of the year. Hancock was a lot of fastballs.
That was inside the line. Keenan on his way to second base. Cheney Rogers brings it back in. And maybe similar to Casey Mize, he's throwing away from the fastball a little bit too much.
Well, and right out of the gate, like that's back-to-back breaking balls. You're throwing 98. He comes out and dominates Dillard. Look, that's back-to-back sliders. And if you're Ole Miss, I feel like he's doing you a favor throwing that slider, 85, 86. And, yeah, if he commands it to the backdoor side of the plate, maybe he gets a take. But that one carries a lot more risk, I think, than the fastball right now.
So an opportunity for Ole Miss in the first with Colt Zabowski batting, junior from Lawrenceville, Georgia. Back-to-back lefties against the right-hander Hancock. Went with the fastball. King can't see it in left field. Got a late jump coming on and comes up empty. Didn't see it off the bat, I suppose.
That's a few times already. Outfielders haven't seen it off the bat. This is when the glare is probably going to be the worst today. It's the first game we've had. Well, I guess it's not the first game we've had at noon. You've just had all those.
Yes, it's the first game you've had.
First game I've had at noon.
It's not the first game we've had in the morning.
Well, somebody got to get that one. That one's in the air a really long time. And again, a huge ballpark here at the Hoover Met. So outfielders are forced to cover more ground than they are throughout the course of the season. And Riley King just a touch short of that one on a ball where he did not get a great jump. Cole Zabowski's got new life.
Is eye black as efficient as sunglasses on a day like today?
I would go both, maybe. It is bright out there.
Caught a piece of it, 0-2.
Eye black, does that even work?
I'm not sure. All it did to me was to make a mess out of me, so I shut it down early.
Well, salad dressing does the same thing, so. Looks cool.
Yeah, definitely looks cool. And I think that's really the point, if we're being honest, right?
Double-digit home runs for Zabowski. Hancock's allowed 4 all season long. Here's the 0-2 pitch to the first baseman. Tied him up with 97 right over the knuckles. Fastball's been almost untouchable for Emerson Hancock. He's sitting in the upper 90s, and he's got 2 Ks early.
2 strikeouts in the first. Fastball up to 98. First pitch of the game's 98. You know, things probably going to be okay for Emerson Hancock. Pitches out of a 2-out double right there. A scoreless first on a perfect day in Hoover.
The sign says the road to Omaha starts here. The road to the big leagues also starts here in the SEC. We move on to the second, Georgia and Ole Miss. Already 10 SEC players have made their major league debut this season. We'll see 11 today. Mike Yastrzemski, former Vanderbilt player, called up by the Giants.
Like it. Remember that day? Remember that day?
It's a neat day. Yep,
That's a good day.
About it. Of course, his teammate Tony Kemp's been up there the last couple years with the Astros. They had a heck of a team. That was the record-setting team in 2013.
Here's John Cable, senior from Roswell, Georgia. Where were you when you got that call that you're going to the big leagues for the first time?
I was in Nashville, and what was really neat about that was I was in the Pacific Coast League, and Nashville is the only place close to Louisville in that league. And so I had about 50 friends and family at the game, and Jeff Kent pulled a hamstring, and I got a call to the big leagues that night. And so that was a neat day.
How about you?
I found out on the internet.
I'm surprised I had the internet then.
Yeah, really?
Thank you. I was at the AAA All-Star game, and I checked the Milwaukee newspaper on the internet, and the 5th game out of the All-Star break, I was starting against the White Sox. And I called my agent and said, hey, is there something maybe I should know? How'd you know? It's actually in the newspaper. That's how I know. Well, you got to act surprised when they call you in. So we went back to actually Louisville. I was playing in Louisville. Went back to Louisville and called me into the office, and we got back from the AAA All-Star game, and I acted incredibly surprised.
You said, Skip, I've been on AOL all morning.
That's what it was. Yep. You've got mail, and I was glad I did.
Cable puts this one into the seats on the left side. Houston Roth walked one in the first inning, the only base runner so far for Georgia. Cable, a grad transfer from the University of New Orleans, hit .349 with them last year with 3 home runs. See a lot of grad transfers in other sports. College basketball is big on it, obviously, but now we're seeing more in impact players in college baseball.
2 really good ones in this league.
Yep.
John Cable, Trevor Ezel. Yeah. Where would these 2 teams be without them? I mean, big impacts.
You guys were talking about it yesterday in your game about first-year players in this league and the impact that they've had. Line drive out to Dillard and left. There's a lot of them. Here's some guys that got that call for the first time. I love this list right here. Pete Alonso hit his 17th last night. Sean Anderson closed at Florida. Now he's starting for the Giants. Chris Ellis up. How about Nate Lowe, by the way? Did you see Nate Lowe's year last year in AAA? Corbin Martin up for the Astros. 3 Gators in there that all played together. Richie Martin was Rule 5 to the Orioles, made the opening day. Matt Ramsey, Brian Reynolds, Nick Senzel, Jared Walsh.
Jared Walsh was a 39th round pick in 2015. 39th round.
Odds are stacked against you.
Yeah.
Congratulations to him.
Here's Cam Shepard. Power surge last 6 games with 3 home runs, including a walk-off on Wednesday.
Darren O'Day wasn't even drafted. He's played longer than about anybody that we've covered, I think, in the last 15 years. He's still playing.
Oh, he was headed to med school at Florida and decided, you know what, I might give this a try. He's on the IL with the Braves. Fouled off the breaking ball, 1-2 to Shepard. I know you're big on home run celebrations, Berkey. You're always looking, always judging. Kind of like Alyssa Lang in that regard. What do you think of the spike helmet for Jordan?
Oh, I am all in. I think it's fantastic. I love it too when the baseball kids take a little page out of the football guys' playbook too, right? Because that's the kind of a Georgia football thing. Don't they have the spikes on the shoulder pads?
Yeah. Football's kind of a big deal.
A little bit, yeah, pretty good. And so I thought that was really good. We've seen some good ones. Tennessee has the beads. Football, I think Louisville actually puts on a Louisville football helmet.
That's kind of weird.
But they can just beat the tar out of each other after the homers. I guess that's the
Safety
whole point.
first.
Clemson does an alley-oop.
Yeah.
They bring a little Nerf goal out and do an alley-oop. So we've seen the home run helmet tap. It's over, boys. We got to come up with new fun stuff, and we've seen it. It's been good.
Coming from a guy who never smiled when he was in the big leagues.
Well, I was not allowed to. That was unwritten team rule. Vandy's doing a headbutt. Bladay's been headbutting people all year long.
He's going to have a concussion if he's been headbutting people all year long.
Does Jeter approve of that?
And we'll have to ask.
He hits 25 home runs before the break, he will.
Of course, the Rebels have been doing the low Bash Brother deal for a while now. They're still my favorite one in the league. Maybe see one today. We haven't seen a lot of Bash Brothers from the Rebels in this tournament.
Roth's 2-2 to Shepard is a breaking ball high. 2 years ago, Houston Roth was a freshman All-America, part of top recruiting class that Mike Bianco brought in. And that recruiting class coming to maturity here their junior season. Popped him up. Ole Miss won the championship last year, but they didn't make it out of the Oxford Regional. The success this week does not very often correlate to national success in the tournament that follows.
Now, last year, though, I will say that team, it was a unique regional, right? They had all that rain. They had to play twice on a Monday night. I mean, it was a tough thing to watch them not be able to close the deal off against Tennessee Tech. Credit those kids. They played their hearts out to go on the road and beat Ole Miss in Oxford. But that team last year was loaded.
That is foul. Speaking of the NCAA tournament, as many as 16 tickets could be punched on this Saturday, including in the A-10, where Fordham finished 4th in the regular season. They've made an undefeated run to the championship game. They take on Dayton. And Flyers would have to beat Fordham twice to win the title.
The guy's from Omaha. University of Nebraska at Omaha, but now never been in a tournament. Playing down at Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts has to beat him twice, and my next-door neighbor threw a gem to get him there.
Is that right? Yeah. Does he have a name?
Joey Machado. Dad built a little mound in his backyard. I could sit out on my porch and watch him throw. It was really cool.
You ever coach him up?
I go over there a few times. No, I stayed out of his way the most. Cool to watch, though.
First 4 seasons under Scott Strickland, they were building the program. Had a hard time seeing the results from the process, but the last 2, they've come to fruition. National seed last year, and they'll be hosting this season.
And you got to feel pretty good about where it's headed.
Yeah, you think?
You got Hancock and Wilcox back next year along with a host of others, but you take those 2, and I don't think we will see a dip in this Georgia program. They will look different on the field, though. A lot of upperclassmen on the field.
Golfed into center. Olenek. He'll also close if needed. 2 down. And that brings Mason Meadows to the plate. A lot of guys wear that extension of the ear flap these days. Meadows, for good reason, took a foul ball off of the face against LSU.
One of the strangest things I have ever seen. It's on a swing.
Yeah.
And you see it on a bunt from time to time.
Hit the ground?
No.
Straight off the bat.
Bat to the face.
Really?
Ball coming in at him, and he kind of cut the bottom of it.
Hope you're not eating breakfast right now.
It's 12:30.
Brunch. Summer started for many. So you had to have a special mask. Braves catcher Tyler Flowers, who's also from Roswell, sent him one. Custom style. And Jeff Hedge not putting up with Scott Strickland's comments from the dugout.
He's got to be yelling about some type of a balk. I don't know what else he'd be yelling about. I tell you what, in a day and age, especially in football and basketball, but it's starting to happen in baseball too, to where sometimes coaches aren't given enough time to really get their program going.
Launched to left field. Dillard will watch it sail. That ball took off. It's a 2-run bomb for Mason Meadows.
How about the Bulldogs? The offense has been hard to come by. And down at the bottom of the order, especially We have not seen a whole lot out of this Georgia lineup, but Mason Meadows with a blast to left field.
That one cleared the bullpen off of the back wall.
Houston Roth, a fly ball pitcher, but had not given up many home runs coming into this ball game. Mason Meadows with a power surge.
Well, good for him. Struggling with the injuries, struggling with the bat. Former high school quarterback. He didn't get the trophy, though. Where are the spikes?
Yeah, what we got?
Somebody leave the spiked helmet back at the hotel?
Very disappointing.
Here's Cheney Rogers, count 0-1. Freshman from Ringgold, Georgia. And he sends a little flare that will dump into shallow right. Back-to-back hits, including this monster shot from Mason Meadows.
Yeah, Houston Roth, a fly ball pitcher, but only one home run allowed throughout the course of the season. That's a hanging breaking ball, and Meadows catches the bottom of it. And on a day where the wind's not blowing out, but really hot temperatures, you know the ball will jump, especially to the hitter's pull side. That ball hit the back of the bullpen a good 30, 40 feet over the left field wall. And a big-time swing of the bat, maybe from an unexpected source for the Bulldogs.
Top of the order now, Tucker Maxwell. Should also note that that pitch came right after home plate umpire Jeff Head had a long conversation, maybe one way, with Scott Strickland in the Georgia dugout. Maybe a distraction for Roth. Bouncer to Zabowski. Only needs a play at first. Solo home run for the catcher, Mason Meadows. Georgia's bats are awake early. Growing up the son of a coach, what was that like?
I think it's awesome. I think it's a blessing, really, for him to kind of prove a lot of life lessons to me through sports at such a young age. And he kind of has that different perspective coming from the game of football, where it's toughness. You know, it's a different mentality than it is baseball, but having him being there for me, guiding me, it was truly a blessing. I played for him in middle school. 7th grade, we went to the championship and tied. Walter Grant's actually the linebacker here at Georgia, who's our running back. We used a lot of reverse plays with him. Dad said, all right, we get this 2-point conversion, we're going to call it. So that's what we did.
It's pretty good coaching right there.
Yes, give the ball to your fastest player.
Right. Now run really fast.
Interesting sitting down with guys and talking to them about their background, where they came from, when we can see where Emerson Hancock is likely going to end up. Ball and a strike now, and the maturity in this day and age, we've talked about this a lot with Casey Mize last year. If a major league organization is going to invest tens and millions of dollars in you, they want to make sure that you're the kind of person that can not only handle it and represent the program and the organization. That goes hand in hand with winning and being a productive player.
Well, I think he has everything you want to see in a #1 pick. The body, the stuff, no doubt about it. The velo, I mean, we see him, he's sitting here pitching at 98. But I think, and Tom, you see it firsthand as he just makes Olenek look bad on an 84-mile-an-hour slider. He really knows how to carry himself, interpersonal skills, and there's a humility about him that I think is endearing. I think this young man is going to make the face of a franchise and make whoever takes him very proud for years to come.
Semifinals for the Golden Spikes. Missed a few turns with a lat issue. Came back in his bullpen before and was up to 99 in the bullpen. They went, yeah, I think we're probably okay. We're healthy again. It's fun to watch. I mean, there's some kids you see at this level and you go, yep, that's the next one. This is the next one.
Kevin Graham puts a ground ball to the right side, and there's 2 down. Lone hit Emerson Hancock has allowed here early on was a double from Tyler Keenan and a breaking ball in the first. And now with the bases empty and 2 down, Cooper Johnson comes to the plate for Ole Miss.
You know, as much diving as these teams do, especially if you're thinking about taking somebody first. I think they're going to love that his dad is a football coach and that he was raised in that kind of style of home, and you can just tell how much that's impacted his life.
Similar with Adley Rutschman. I mean, played football, kicked at Oregon State, has that same type of personality. Rutschman, the switch hitting catcher from Oregon State that looks to be the first overall pick this year, that is a guy that you would love to have as a face of your franchise.
Adley Rutschman's grandpa was a legendary Hall of Fame small college football coach in the Pacific Northwest. Here's Cooper Johnson. Big time arm behind the plate. Hitting .257 at the plate. Second team all conference. His offense has taken a jump this season. We showed you Gray Kessinger's numbers in the first inning. And Berkey, we get so used to players in any sport coming in and being sensational year one. The normal process is to improve each and every year. And maybe you are overmatched as a freshman, but you gain that experience and you learn how to work.
Yeah, and maybe we forget that Cooper Johnson, while he has played his first couple years, this is the first year he's been the guy. I mean, Nick Cortez was a fantastic player for Ole Miss and got most of the reps behind the plate over the last few years. So this really the first look we've gotten at Cooper Johnson day in and day out, and he definitely has gotten better with the bat. Now, you could still see that he struggles to see spin, but he can hit a fastball.
Shunk scoops it up off a short hop and fires across to close out the Ole Miss third. Emerson Hancock looking like a big leaguer on the mound. It's a 2-0 lead for Georgia. Mason Meadows' first hit of this tournament was a doozy. Took a hanging breaking ball and almost took it all the way out of the stadium. But the celebration, while it occurred at the plate in one form, the big one was a little bit delayed. Meadows got high fives from his teammates, but typically Georgia goes with the spiked helmet, and it took him a while to actually locate it and put it on the head of Mason Meadows.
There we go.
We finally got it. Chris, what happened with the helmet?
Well, that's what happens when you leave things in your bag. It was forgotten, and I asked the players. They wanted me to make it known to everybody that it was Adam Goodman. Adam Goodman is responsible for bringing the helmet. He forgot it.
Oh.
Just down here doing some investigative reporting for you guys.
Nice work.
Excellent. The senior. Adam Goodman, the senior.
They found it.
Okay. Pitchers. We don't ask y'all to do much, Kyle. Just bring the spiked helmet.
It is here.
Shouldn't the freshmen be the ones carrying the bags?
That would make sense.
Pass to diving Tyler Keenan and a base hit for Riley King. Leadoff man on for Aaron Shunk.
You know, my thing with the celebrations, I'm not big on it as it pertains to showing up the other team. That's not really my cup of tea, but this game's really hard, and hitting is arguably the most difficult thing to do in the game. So if you want to have some fun with your teammates after hitting a long one, by all means, I'm all for it.
I'm confused. You're not big on it, but you want them to do it. So what do we got here? You're not big on showing up pitchers.
No, I'm talking about like in the batter's box, like at home plate after you see what I'm saying? But like once you've crossed home plate and you're with your guys.
Then you can dance all you want.
Have fun with your dudes. He's not dancing. He's putting on a spiked helmet. He's Bash Brother and his teammates. Like, you don't like it, Kyle. Not a fan.
I want to see a guy punch somebody out and do a backward somersault off the mound.
No, he doesn't have to do it off the mound.
Okay.
I wouldn't be a fan of him doing it off the mound. But if he wants to do it in the dugout with his teammates, it's cool. You just got a big out.
I missed you.
See how you changed my argument there? I didn't say in the batter's box. I said with your homies in the dugout or like on your way back.
0-1 to Aaron Shunk. Washington State baseball is totally irrelevant at this point. They fired their coach before the season was over. But because they're irrelevant, we don't talk much about what a great college player John Olerud was. Shunk was a finalist for the Olerud Award last year. Brandon McKay won it 3 consecutive years. Last year it went to Brooks Wilson of Stetson. The ability to manage your time to do two things as well as Aaron Shunk does them on the field is amazing.
I think the closer role is the easiest of those as opposed to the starting pitcher role. But, hey, look, I can't believe he's not first-team All-League. I mean, when you got double-digit homers and double-digit saves, you should be first-team All-League. I don't know how we missed that.
To that point the other night, he had a one-out save the other night. He warmed up in the 7th because that was the only time he could get down there. He couldn't warm up in the 8th because he was potentially going to hit. So he goes down in the 7th. He throws 10, 15 pitches in the bullpen. Then you try to fire a few across the diamond, comes in, gets the final out for the game. So it's time management's one thing just during the course of the season. The other is just time management during the 3 hours of the game.
12 saves, an ERA of 2.5. L.J. Talley at the plate.
We've had some great ones in this league, and the ability to start and hit and then close. We've seen Helton do it, Brad Wilkerson do it.
Tim Hudson.
Hudson maybe the best when you consider what he did as a starting pitcher.
20 home runs, 15. I think he hit 20, close to 20. 15 wins for Hudson his junior year. So we saw him in Omaha that year.
L.J. Talley 0 for 1 with a fly out to left. John Olerud, by the way, played 17 years in the big leagues as a position player. Was going to go back to Washington State for his senior year of college. The Blue Jays drafted and he said, okay, I'll sign, but only if I can go directly to the big leagues. Never spent a day in the minors.
I said, okay.
Fighting it, lost it, and they still get the force out at second. What's that feeling like?
That is a bad feeling, and Keenan's telling Kessinger right now, hey, man, I need you to stay with me. One of the things you'll see when you got that high sun at this time of the day is it's better if you're going at an angle than when you're directly underneath it. And so this ball actually faded back to Kessinger. See how
just about lands on his foot.
Yeah, Keenan's right underneath it. Kessinger really won't have to deal with it because he's coming at an angle. By the time he realized he didn't see it, Kessinger hadn't been looking at the baseball. And really, Keenan's job right there is to say as early as he can that I don't see it, I don't see it, I don't see it. Fortunately for the Rebels, they still get an out.
John Cable at the plate. Typically, when we think about fielders losing fly balls or pop-ups, it's in dusk, where it might blend in with the sky. What makes this sky so difficult?
Well, that one right there is we've got just partly cloudy skies. So
I would say mostly sunny, but
mostly sunny. Fine, that's probably
I'm a glass half full guy.
Full, half empty.
That one's just right in the sun. When the ball is right in the sun, it doesn't matter what you have. Eye black, sunglasses, it doesn't matter. That one must have gone directly into it, and that's why, remember the famous clip of Omar Vizquel turning his back to the infield.
Yeah,
trying to
over the shoulder.
Yeah, trying to keep the glare down as much as he possibly can. There's sometimes where you just can't see it.
And it's lost. Olenek can't find it. Well, he had it. He was just deking it. No runs in hit. And one left on. We'll hear from Mike Bianco. He's got his shades on today. It's a 2-0 Georgia lead in the third.
Welcome back. I'm joined with Ole Miss head coach Mike Bianco. And, Coach, what have you seen out of Houston Ross' outing so far?
I thought he's been pretty good, and we'll have to see it on tape, but I thought the pitch to Meadows was a good pitch and just one that he got. But he's been able to mix his fastball, in and out and been able to get inside on him. You
guys have proved the last couple of days you're able to get the bats going late in games, but what's the mentality like that even if Hancock came out of the game, you're knowing you still have to face Losi?
We've gotten some good swings, and then we've had some at-bats against them that, don't look too good. So we got to be able to bunch them up together a little bit better.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah, if it's not hard enough, you got Emerson Hancock for 4, maybe 5 innings. You got another ace right behind him, and it's different stuff. Anthony Servideo to lead off the third for Ole Miss. Rebels with a hit through 2. 96 at the shins, 1-0. Servideo from Jupiter, Florida. Freshman all-conference last year. Whoa, that one took a hot hop right past Patrick Sullivan. Leadoff man on for the first time for the Rebels today.
Back-to-back fastballs of Servideo right here. On that 1-0 pitch. It's enough of the plate for Servideo to spin on it. Sullivan's really good over there with a glove, too. He's made just one error the entire season, field 997. That one just kind of handcuffed him. Tough hop. Ole Miss as the leadoff man on here in the third.
Nine-hole hitter Jacob Adams up. 26 pitches so far for Hancock. Remember, the original plan was perhaps 4 innings. Kind of see how he was doing. From a pitching perspective, regardless of how efficient he is the rest of the way, KP, what do you think a good number is for Hancock going into the regionals next week?
Pitches here?
Yeah.
60 to 75. I think that's plenty.
Pickoff attempt, and Servideo has only been caught once this season. Gets back to the bag. Swing and a miss. Runner goes, and he's in there safe. Anthony Servideo now 22 of 23. Good pitch to run on.
Oh, man. Boy, he guessed right. And usually power pitchers don't worry about being quick to the plate. And you guess right on a changeup. Looked like a hit and run, but Mike Bianco will take it. Rebels get somebody in scoring position here. Servideo, who's been productive here lately, fantastic base stealer. .22 out of 23 tells me maybe
here we
go. Go a little
Not
bit
running
more.
enough. I knew that was coming.
Go a little bit more. 22
knew that
out of
was
23.
coming.
Like, let's go.
Corner's coming in for Adams, who's already squared. And the butt back to Hancock. Glanced at third, took it to first. Thomas Dillard coming to the plate. Tony Walsh is talking about getting in foot races with everybody.
And what's this stuff? Leading off. He's got some speed now, huh? Oh, I was hoping it was a speed. I think he's pretty fast. I think I may race him.
And we had Tony Walsh, Mike, the other day. One of these guys was talking about racing you, Berkey. May not have been Tony.
He said Scott Klein wanted to race me. So
beautiful pickup on Meadows. Wow.
Umpires are feeling frisky this week.
Yeah, they are.
You know what you should do? Did you see that race thing? What's the guy that does it in Atlanta? The freeze?
Yeah, the freeze.
Yeah, they did the same thing here. Berkey could be the guy that gets the head start.
You want Tony Walsh to
run him down?
Tony Walsh or Scott Klein to track him down?
Or no, actually, let's flip-flop.
Okay.
Yeah. You give Scott Klein the head start, and Berkey's got to run the whole way around.
They'll get a run home, and RBI ground out for Thomas Dillard. Ole Miss didn't score any runs through the fifth of any of their 4 tournament games, so early offense.
Yeah, and it goes back to the play Sullivan couldn't make at first base. A kind of an in-between hop that scooted past Sullivan, and the Rebels turned it into a run. Fantastic situational baseball right there by Ole Miss. Servideo gets on, then steals second, gets over by a bunt. Dillard gets him in. That's good old-fashioned baseball right there.
Big chunk of the offensive inefficiency for Ole Miss is the heart of their order. And here's Kessinger in the 2-hole. The 2, 3, and 4 hitters on this season hit over 300 in this tournament. They're just hitting 114, and Kessinger now 1 for 14 this week.
Not a big sack bunt guy in general, but I love the way this inning played out for Ole Miss in this case. 9-hole guy up. You got a guy in second base with nobody out. Leadoff hitter and Dillard coming up that you know is probably going to make contact. I don't want to take a chance about getting a hit or not getting a hit. Let's get him to third base. You know, Dillard's going to make contact. George is going to play the infield back, and Ole Miss is on the board. In a game to where if you can get one against Hancock, when you have a chance, that's a big number.
Two-1 to Kessinger.
I think
Hancock overthrew that one.
I think it also speaks to the wisdom in putting Dillard in the leadoff spot. You put Servideo and Adams down at the bottom, and now you can play small ball with those guys because it leads to a guy that you know can drive in runs at the top. it really plays into their strengths better as well. And I think Mike Bianco's pressed the right buttons. Yeah, I know there are not a ton of base hits being produced, but I think he's doing some good things with his offense.
And you're getting more plate appearances for your 300 hitter with double-digit home runs in Dillard.
No doubt about it. And again, they've been trying Servideo and Adams at the top. It just wasn't working. They both seem to be more comfortable down here at the bottom.
Ripped to left field. Got the bat around on 96. And there's one on now with 2 down. It's Wednesday. Don't forget to tune in for SEC Inside, an all-access pass to this tournament with never-before-seen footage and sounds from the semifinals and championship game and your golf match. We're going to have footage of your golf match on SEC Inside?
I don't know. That's a really good question, Tom. America wants to know.
SEC Inside, May 29th at 7 Eastern right here on the SEC Network, also streaming live on the ESPN app. I'm not sure America wants to know. It's like wanting to know about people's fantasy team. No offense.
They would enjoy watching KP play, though. Not me so much.
Here's Tyler Keenan. Doubled his first time up on a slider from Emerson Hancock. Game number 2, Kumar Rocker starting for Vanderbilt against Devin Fontenot for LSU.
All right, first pitch of this at bat. Okay, so it's 0-0. Watch where Meadows sets up.
Way out there, isn't it?
When he hit it right in the middle of his body. That's where you set up 0-2.
Yeah.
I mean, I never wanted a catcher to set up off the plate unless I was in a strikeout count. You get an 0-2, 1-2 count, fine. Get out there. But other than that, center me on a pitch that's going to be called for a strike. Don't center me on a pitch that is 6 inches off. And Meadows been really good back there. That's the first time I've noticed him doing it. But you catch a ball in the middle of your body on an 0-0 pitch, that should be a strike.
Yes. And really with somebody with the command of Hancock, I don't know that you ever want to go too far off the plate.
No, I mean, you get 0-2, you want to run. Like, that's a great 0-2 fastball right there.
Yeah.
By the way, first peek at LSU's starting lineup for game number 2. Brant Broussard, who was injured yesterday having an elbow issue, is not in the lineup. They'll start Hal Hughes at second base. Speedster Chris Reed is going to bat 7th. 96 past him, and a count 2-2.
And KP, if you're evaluating Hancock, you want to see guys that can throw fastballs and fastball counts. And we've seen him nibble a little bit more, maybe pitch backwards more than you would think with somebody with that kind of heater, but right there, 2 in a row past Keenan.
2-strike shift on Tyler Keenan. Why shift with 2 strikes if you don't do it with 1?
They're thinking it's a lot less likely that he would bunt with 2 strikes. No margin for error. 1 foul bunt would be strike 3. So they're thinking the bunt is no longer in play. So they're going extreme with the shift here.
Up the middle, and a sliding stop by Shunk, the third baseman. Got him with the shovel.
That one worked out just fine for the Bulldogs. Shunk, a terrific athlete, ranging to his left, does not field it cleanly at first, but sticks with it. And Shepard with the bare hand finish. The Bulldogs flashing a little leather.
They're going to take another look at it.
This one's going to be quick. This one's going to be quick. A little bit easier, too, on this one, too, to tell exactly when he caught it. With that glove sometimes, especially if the ball's not thrown very hard, you can't tell exactly when the ball gets in the glove. With the bare hand, it's pretty straightforward. He clearly caught that one before Kessinger's foot got to the bag.
See the bobble here, but, yeah, that ball's in his hand 6 inches before Kessinger gets there, I think. Yeah, that makes it a lot easier on the replay booth.
A replay complete. They've confirmed it, and so we'll get a chance to sell some products. 2-1, Georgia with the lead. 24th season at the Hoover Met, the SEC tournament, 2-1 Georgia with the lead. Big tournament starts next week. And here's some bubble teams that are in the mix, including Florida with a number 3 strength of schedule, Missouri with a top 30 RPI. How do they match up with Texas State and BYU?
It's interesting. I think Missouri's in trouble. I just RPI top 50. Florida swept them to end the year. I still think it's a team that potentially could win a regional. I don't think they're going to get a chance. Florida should get a chance. BYU, Texas State. Texas State's got some good midweek wins. They beat A&M. Beat Texas, which I guess now doesn't look like a great midweek win.
No.
I think Texas State's probably going to get in. Well, Florida should get in.
I understand. We were talking about this last night. If you're a West Coast team or you're not located in the Southeast, you have a hard time building a good strength of schedule. And
if you stay close to home.
Sure.
Yes.
And I totally understand the geographical disadvantage from that point of view. How is the RPI affected by that? Because when I look at that, and I know the RPI isn't end-all, be-all, Missouri's got an RPI 20 points higher than Texas State. So why would Missouri be out and Texas State be in that scenario?
Ask your question.
Strength of schedule is obviously affected by your geographic situation.
Okay.
What about the RPI? Is it the same?
Well, I mean, the RPI in large part is affected by the conference you play in. I mean, for Missouri, if you're playing 30 games within this league, just by proximity of the RPI, I mean, it's kind of the rising tide lifts all ships deal from an RPI standpoint.
So should it be used as a judgment metric then?
Yes. No.
Okay.
Well,
I think you got to figure it in.
And I think too, where it gets interesting is the committee has pretty much told us conference record for SEC teams as it pertains to bubble is more of a factor than RPI sometimes.
And
right?
I'm out on that. I'm totally out on that argument right now. And let's get in. Okay, so last 5 in: Texas State, Florida, Houston. This is according to D1 Baseball. Florida switched their logo. They're now BYU. Houston did the same. UCF, to me, first 5 out, Irvine has hurt themselves just because the league isn't very good.
Right.
But there's a lot of time. The Big West is a 2-bid, 3-bid league some year. Now, it may end up being a 2-bid league if Cal Poly beats UC Santa Barbara today. And that's the one where if you're Florida, if you're Missouri, if you're Texas State, if you're all of them, you want the Gauchos to win today.
But you go back to the RPI and conference record deal. We've been hearing Mike Rooney talk about this all week. Will the committee view, and I know it's not necessarily apples to apples, but will the committee view Florida's ACC wins in a similar light as they would view their conference wins?
What's odd to me about that is you're supposed to be judged on your entire body of work.
Agreed.
Not just your conference record.
And that's why
it's almost like double jeopardy if you're considering it twice.
I don't think one should be more important than the other. Mm-hmm. And if one is more important than the other, it's the whole season. It's not what you do within. Houston won the last 5 in. Arizona,
Florida changed their logo back.
Hey, look at that. Hey, and Houston's only getting in once, not twice. This now we got last 5 in. I mean, this is the way today goes. And we got games all over the place. You don't know where they're going to go and logos and everything else. But now we got them. How about the Flame Train? Liberty won the last 5 out. I got a buddy on that team too. We'll get to that later.
So did Liberty. Mason Meadows at the plate. He homered his first time up. I guess I have a hard time trying to pick the 64 best teams in automatic burst versus at larges. If you play in the toughest conference in the country, we're going to hold it against you because you play in the toughest conference in the country.
Here's my thing, okay? So conference records are not created the same because then you really do have to look out of league. Let's do a straight Missouri-Florida non-conference comparison because the league record is essentially the same. It's not really a comparison.
Yeah, but Tom's saying why not both? Why does it have to be one or the other between those two?
Because then I think you go to the whole body of work. Just because you won 13 wins in this league, what else did you do?
They dominated their non-conference schedule, which would be on par with Texas State's conference schedule.
Okay. Texas State's got to win against A&M when they played them. I know it was a Tuesday game, but that's going to figure in. I'm not saying Texas State should get out over Missouri. I'm saying Florida should be in the tournament.
Meadows chops it off of his ankle. I think
you sweep Florida State, you take 2 out of 3 from Miami, which until yesterday was probably going to host. Now not. To me, that's enough with the 13 wins in the league.
I do not disagree with you on Florida. and their strength against ACC teams. It would be an interesting talking point within the committee room. My overall issue is using conference record to keep a team out.
Totally agree.
When they're in the best conference.
Yeah. Third strikeout for Houston Roth. We'll hear from Scott Strickland. His team has a 2-1 lead and a unique pitching situation today on this semifinal Saturday.
Welcome back. Joined with Georgia head coach Scott Strickland. And coach, for the season that Mason Meadows has had and the injury, how good is it to see him go out there and hit one out?
It's great to see. I mean, he's really battled through a lot. I mean, to get hit in the eye like he did, it was a really scary moment. We actually thought that when I went out there, I thought it was done. I thought his eye was damaged, and it was a really ugly incident, but he bounced back, and proud to have him back.
Hancock goes back out there. What have you seen of his stuff today?
Well, he looks really loose and easy, and the breaking ball is good, and he just left one ball up. But other than that, I think he's throwing the ball really well, and he's competing.
Do you have an idea how much further he can go?
Probably 2 more, but don't know for sure.
Thanks, Coach.
So 2 more from Emerson Hancock would get him through 5, and then have Tony Losi ready to go right behind him.
All right, I forget stuff, so I'm going to continue that discussion we were just having, and I'm going to bring Alabama into this one. All right, so if we're going to say all we're going to do is look at conference.
Yeah.
Alabama was 7-23 in the league. Outside of the league, they were 23-3. Their non-conference RPI was 16. So I just what your record is within the best league in the country should not be the determining factor as to whether or not you get into the postseason. Just shouldn't.
And I think we all agree with that.
Cole Zabowski, cleanup hitter, 10 home runs in the season. Struck out first time up against Emerson Hancock. The committee on any given year will also keep in mind the strength of the game and the ability to grow the game.
Yes.
West Virginia is in a position to be considered as a host, and they would be a deserving host by a lot of different metrics. But when you throw in the idea that they could host for the first time in a new ballpark, expand the game of college baseball, bring that fan base, which is an incredible fan base, into the fold, I would be all for it.
I agree.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Does that mean that a deserving team may miss out? Well, that's them's the breaks.
Well,
right.
I guess I'm all for it if you're like, okay, these two are pretty much created equal. I mean, if one is significant, if one is more deserving than the other, I think it goes on merit first. But if it's a coin flip to see where you go, absolutely. I think grow the game should figure into it.
And that West Virginia program, coached by Randy Mazey, they've been knocking on the door for a while. And, of course, they have one of the best arms in the country in Alek Manoah as their #1 guy who can beat anybody. I mean, he's proven that throughout the course of the year.
West Virginia trails Texas Tech 6-3 right now in the Big 12 tournament. Opposite field, Squibber, and Cole Zabowski's aboard. Also interesting today, TCU has had a game delayed that they finished off by beating Baylor earlier today in the Big 12 tournament. Got a bracelet issue going on. We got LSU catchers wearing Victoria's Secret perfume, and we've got bracelet issues with shortstops. And then Oklahoma State will have TCU, will have Oklahoma State later this afternoon in the Big 12.
Oklahoma State's on fire.
Yeah, they are.
RPI is up top 10 right now. They swept Oregon State and Corvallis a few weeks ago. They will host. It's not totally out of the equation. Oklahoma State blows through the Big 12 tournament. They could work themselves into the top 8.
Which is wild. I had them at Texas Tech where they got swept. And they if you'd have told me they were going to go on the run that they've been on, go to Corvallis and sweep Oregon State and do what they've done, beating Oklahoma and playing the way they played down the stretch, I didn't see it. The defense was scuffling. The offense, there's a lot of swing and miss there. But they went out to Corvallis. When you win 3 at Oregon State, the only way to do that is to pitch and defend and play some situational baseball. They've just been playing with a lot of confidence since.
So it's a tough road to hoe for TCU. They'd have to knock off the Pokes twice today to move on in the Big 12. Pop up left field. Who can find it? Nobody. Only guy who had eyes on it was Tucker Maxwell, charging in from center. Sun Sky has been an issue. Banana peels, not so much. We've got a puppet in the dugout and 2 on the bases.
Again, it's a huge ballpark, right? So you know you have to communicate. Cam Shepard can't see it at all. The ball is just kind of equidistant between the center fielder and left fielder. And on a day where nobody's seeing the baseball really good, the outfielders really have to be aggressive charging those in-between balls because you can tell the infielders are having a hard time picking it up.
So 2 on for Kevin Graham. Graham, the 6-hole hitter. Ole Miss with 2 on and nobody out, threatening in the 4th. Shunk coming in from 3rd. 1-0.
And I like it. I wouldn't bunt here either. Kevin Graham been swinging the bat really well. He's one of the few guys in the line been hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And again, where you find yourself in the batting order a lot of times dictates these decisions by the head coaches. I think you let it rip here with Graham and Johnson and take your chances.
Especially considering Servideo and Adams at the bottom of the order, as you alluded to earlier, having a hard time getting their averages up. 1-0.
I know the slider's really good. I think he throws it too much. He's thrown it too much today for me. That fastball is elite. And it's not just velocity, but the location's been really good. It has late movement. And I don't think you need to throw this much off speed.
That was 93.
But still has some jump when it gets to home plate. And it's that late life that makes it look like it's a little bit more than 93.
He's been up to 97. Has he hit 98 tonight?
98,
98.
yeah.
First pitch of the game, I think.
If you're batting against Emerson Hancock, are you hoping he goes off speed to you?
Well, I would want the slider of the 3 pitches, and if I was a left-handed hitter, I would want the slider. The changeup we detailed earlier in the ballgame, nobody's gotten a hit on it.
Yeah.
So it seems like that's the pitch to go to right here if you feel like you've got Graham sped up. Either that or an elevated fastball. I would not go slider right here.
Three of the 5 Ole Miss hits, have come from left-handers today.
Hancock was thinking the same thing there, just kind of yanks that changeup back across the plate. And KP, I think right here you got to trust your fastball, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you trust your fastball at any time if you're Hancock. I just think we're maybe overthinking it a little bit right now.
Payoff pitch. Fastball popped up and out of play. Some postseason drama. Southern Miss threw a no-hitter against Rice today. Golden Eagles going to the CUSA Tournament Championship game. Pardon me, that was in the championship game. No, it wasn't. I'm arguing with myself. I don't even need you guys. 12th no-hitter in Division I this season, 7th all-time for Southern Miss. They will play for the Conference USA Championship later.
Impressive, Tom. You continue to find new ways to impress us.
I can find an exit and a verbal cul-de-sac. Little flare. Dumped into right. They're going to wave the runner home. Here comes Zabowski. The throw is late. And Ole Miss pieces together 3 straight hits against Emerson Hancock. An infield squibber and then 2 flares.
Yeah, sometimes you make a pitch and the other guy just wins. I mean, it's fastball in on the hands. If it's a wood bat, it's in 2 or 3 pieces right now. But Kevin Graham gets enough of it. And nobody's going to get to this one. I don't care how good the break is. They're not hitting him hard this inning, but that doesn't much matter. That's 3 straight hits, and Ole Miss has tied it up.
And I like decision by Mike Bianco. We talked about it at the time. And his freshman makes him look smart there with a fantastic, how about that at bat, man? Fouling off some high heaters, laying off some off-speed pitches. Kevin Graham's got a chance to be a real run producer in his time, already making a big impact here in just his first year.
There's real juice, too. I mean, 129 at-bats this year for Graham. He's got 9 home runs. Dillard has 10 and 212 at-bats. Freshman has some juice.
Hancock has allowed 3 straight hits. He's thrown 56 pitches to this point. And they just sent everybody out to the bullpen, including Tony Losi, who's due up next for Georgia. What's this conversation like? I mean, you just 3 bleeders in a row.
Yeah, I think to me, I mean, when you go out like this, it's like, hey, just let's not change anything and understand what's going on here. It's one thing if they just hit 3 balls off the wall, or if location was bad or anything else. Sometimes baseball luck goes with you. Sometimes it goes against you. In this inning, Hancock's made some pretty good pitches. Ole Miss has just got enough and a little bit of luck on their own. They put some pretty good swings on today, though. Keenan in the first, Servideo on the 1-0 fastball, Kessinger on the fastball that he ripped to left field. Cooper Johnson hit the ball hard his first time up.
So pitching coach Sean Kenny will head back to the Georgia dugout. Runners at the corners and nobody out here in the 4th.
Talking about an Ole Miss lineup that came into the game hitting 180 for this tournament. Already 6 hits here in the 4th. So you would not have guessed that with the way this offense had looked prior to today, but giving some really quality at bats off Hancock.
Breaking ball in for a strike, 1-1. Another breaking ball coming around to Shepard, and he will throw off balance to first. It's good enough to get another run in, and Ole Miss has its first lead of the game.
Take a look at this Ole Miss rally. So first you got the squibber off the bat of Zabowski where he just hits it against the shift. Then Olenek, a pop-up into shallow left center field. Nobody can get there. Cam Shepard can't see it. Then Kevin Graham fights one off into shallow right center field. So, again, it hasn't been a laser show by any stretch of the imagination, but productive at-bats, competitive at-bats, and the Rebels find themselves with a lead here in the 4th.
Anthony Servideo already has a hit today. We haven't seen a fastball since the mound visit.
Yeah, Cooper Johnson hit a changeup. Right on right changeup, which is a good pitch.
One thing we're seeing a lot from Hancock in this inning too, a lot of wipes with the glove where he's changing location, a lot of shakes. Like he does not look like he's on the same page with Sean Kenny, the pitching coach.
He could change location with a wipe. He could also change pitch. I mean, sometimes it's add one, subtract one on the pitch too. So there's different approaches with that on the mound.
Still no fastballs. He retired the side in order only once so far today. That was in the 2nd. With a strikeout and a couple of ground outs. Otherwise, he's been pitching with runners on, including the leadoff man on each of the last 2 innings. So walk me through the wipe. Like, for example, that last time he wiped, there wasn't time for more signals. He was dictating the pitch or the location?
It's one or the other. Yeah, if you wipe, I mean, let's say that Meadows is calling fastball in, and you want to keep the pitch. He may wipe, and the wipe may say, I like the fastball, but I want it to go away. It could also add or subtract the pitch. So a wipe could mean, okay, if you start with one, if I wipe once, that means I just want one more. So we're going to break a ball off of it. Different teams use different. There's a lot that don't wipe. We never did.
Well, and as I'm watching more closely the mechanics here of the pitch calling, you see Sean Kinney talking to his catcher, and there's been quite a few pitches where Mason Meadows has not looked in. So I think Sean Kinney's given them a lot of freedom to call their own game. So it may be where it's just Meadows and Hancock that aren't on the same page. But there's been a lot of confusion here on some of these places they want to go in these big pitches.
This one's sent to right field, and a diving catch by Cheney Rogers. Stumbled to his feet, but there are 2 down now. And Graham back to second with Jacob Adams coming up.
Serradio, I believe, saw 5 pitches in that bat. He didn't see one fastball. Now, the first at bat, he went fastball, single to right. That time was a slider. Good work by Cheney Rogers. Saved what would have absolutely been extra bases and added to the Ole Miss lead. Now Hancock a pitch away from getting out of this thing.
I want to go back to the pitch calling situation for our viewers. How rare is it for a college catcher to have freedom to call pitches?
I think this probably has more to do with Emerson Hancock, but pretty rare, to answer your question. We don't see it a ton. Certainly Mike Bianco's calling every pitch from the Ole Miss dugout, but I think they just believe in Emerson Hancock. I think there's a lot that goes into that. And certainly the results speak for themselves, the kind of season he's had.
I wish we saw it more. I know that.
Wow.
I wish more college coaches. A few things. One, your catcher can see things that nobody else can. So can see little movements from a hitter exactly where they're sitting up in the box. The other is when these guys get into pro ball, and I understand there's plenty to learn when a pitching coach is calling because you're understanding why they're doing what they're doing. You get into pro ball, you're calling your own game.
Yeah.
There's nobody else telling you what to throw. There's a scouting report, you go through it, but after that, your catcher's calling your own game, and I just think it prepares guys for the next level better if they do it some here.
So Mason Meadows has an earpiece in one ear. He has earplugs in the other. That goes back from when he broke his orbital bone. He was having some balance issues and suffering from vertigo.
It's pretty impressive he's come back from that injury. I mean, that was nasty.
I thought they would have to have surgery. It's almost a miracle the way his face healed. 1-1 pitch. So the second starter of the day, Tony Losey, starting to get loose for Georgia. Piggyback situation planned all along to get Emerson Hancock tuned up for the NCAA tournament, and then go to Losey. And if you're Georgia and you're a top 8 national seed, you got an issue now with Hancock. Going to take the ball out of play. And
What, did he just bust a finger?
Yeah, it may have been a nail.
Catching the ball back or what?
Could have caught a seam on that thumb, or it might have been a nail that just kind of dug into his thumb a little bit. I'd go get him right now.
Yeah, because that's
right
something that can
now. I would go get him right now. Because what you don't want is for that thing to get any worse. I mean, I understand you want to win this thing. You want to win the whole thing. And if it's a regional or super, that's one thing. But I wouldn't even give him the opportunity to talk his way back in this game. I'd bring Losey in right now.
It's like did he try to barehand the catch? I missed it. Like what?
No, I think he did it on a pitch earlier. I think he did it on a pitch earlier, and then then it just started bleeding a little bit more.
Nothing yet.
Second base umpire Morris Hodges spotted it.
Oh, there. Now he sees it.
I think when he wiped it on the back of his pants is when Hodges saw it.
You can see it bleeding right there. Yeah, that is wild.
I suppose good news, it seems to be on the thumb as opposed to
if you got to pick one, that's where you want it.
So he will leave the game, and leaving due to injury means Tony Losey, when he comes in, will have as much time as he needs to get loose. And you saw when he
I don't know that he's leaving yet, guys.
Oh, he's not necessarily.
I don't know that he's leaving yet. I think they're just trying to stop the bleeding.
I think it would make sense for him to leave.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see
he's
what
leaving now.
I don't see what the ad is here to keep him in the ball game. If you're in a regional or super or Omaha, that's a totally different deal. But job number one for Georgia in this tournament is set yourself up for next weekend.
Pedicure coming for Hancock. His day is done.
Could be a manicure too.
Got nothing to add except Tony Losey's coming in from the bullpen for Georgia. The 64th pitch of the game for Emerson Hancock brought some blood to his right thumb. And so his day is done. Plan was roughly 70-75 pitches. Checking it out in the Georgia dugout. 3 strikeouts, didn't walk a batter. He goes 3 2/3. And this was outside of the blood. This was the plan for Georgia to go Hancock to Tony Losey. Losey, a communication studies major. He's from Houston County High School, Warner Robins, Georgia. 10-1, 2.55 ERA in 14 starts. Opponents hitting just $160 against him. He's 3rd in the nation in wins and fewest hits allowed per 9 innings pitched.
And the stuff is pretty loud, KP. I mean, he's going to come at you with a real fastball.
I guess I don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to say it like I do. Is there a staff in the country that goes 95 plus, 95 plus, 95 plus on the weekend? I don't think that there is. Besides these guys.
Yeah, no,
Georgia does.
I think there's some out-of-conference teams that are going to be.
What do you got,
in for a rude
as,
awakening.
as good as he is, he may not be the most talented guy in his apartment. Here's Tony Losey talking about his famous roommate.
When I moved to Houston County in Warner Robins, Georgia, I met Jake Fromm, and since the first day of school, we always clicked. We loved the outdoors, and we always hung out every day. Playing baseball with him, it was pretty awesome, and I actually talked him into playing his senior year, and I played 3rd, so did he, so once again, we're best friends competing at a job. I had a little influence on him committing to the University of Georgia. We actually room now at the University of Georgia. Living with Jake, he's Jake. He's very competitive, so am I, so we have great ping pong games, pool games. There's never a dull moment at the house. We're always competing, always trying to win, and always encouraging each other.
So Georgia faithful, even if you're not a baseball fan, there's a lot of reasons to like Tony Losey, not the least of which is he brought Jake Fromm to campus.
That's right. That makes him a stud around campus no matter what. And that would be a fun apartment to hang out in, I think.
Arsenal for Losey, predominantly fastball, but opponents hitting less than 100 against a slider.
About 70% fastball. The slider's a wipeout slider, so we're mid-90s, been up 96, 97 this year with a slider that's swing and miss. The only knock on Losey is just the walks. Walks are a little bit high. That's one of the biggest differences between he and Hancock, but the stuff is undeniable.
His dad, Tony, was a 13th round pick of the Cubs in the '93 draft out of Columbus State in Columbus, Georgia. Jacob Adams at the plate for Ole Miss. How about that?
That's not right.
What was your workload like in the 4th? They threw 1 pitch at 95. Road to Omaha starts here, Hoover, Alabama. Interesting developing story with Georgia's starting pitcher Emerson Hancock.
So watch that thumb, and it looked like that was the one that was bleeding. This is a changeup from Emerson Hancock. It was a pitch. After this, he started looking at his thumb, but we'll get into it in a minute. It's that location on the seam that I think ultimately is what led to either a nail going in and starting him to bleed, or else that seam actually cutting his finger when it came all the way through. We'll talk about how here in a minute, but you got it. I mean, when that happens, it's usually because the seam is in play in some way. Yeah. Why are you looking at me sideways?
No, I'm looking at you sideways because I'm just sitting there thinking about the friction that is being caused about how fast that ball's coming off his hand to bust his finger open.
Kind of like the friction between you and Ben McDonald.
Ish. Somewhere in that ballpark. But I was also thinking about how locked in do you have to be? He didn't even feel it.
No.
Like
he didn't notice it until he looked down and saw it was bleeding.
He did not know he was bleeding until he saw it. There was no feeling that his finger just busted open.
Cheney Rogers had a bloop single back in the second. Houston Roth, the Ole Miss starter, hasn't allowed a hit since Riley King's leadoff in the third.
Go get it.
That's a long run.
Tremendous effort, though.
Nope.
Oh.
That's a pretty good deke right there.
He set up like he was going. Where are we going? Oh, hand-picked the winner.
I have a feeling he probably already had the winner picked out before the next foul ball was hit. He'll get another chance here. Lots of friends being made.
Let's see where he goes with this one. Ooh.
So you get 2 hot dogs if you have a good day and a Powerade.
You gotta have a thick skin if you're going to be him. I mean, there's a lot of kids unhappy with you in that position.
That's right. 1-2 to Cheney Rogers, a .264 average. Be interesting going forward with Emerson Hancock. If this is an issue, how many of his pitches it would affect, because it seems like, and we'll take a closer look at that changeup grip, that it would only be the changeup. And I have a feeling that he could be effective with just one pitch against a lot of teams.
Yeah, I mean, part of the question is your thumb in the position on that seam on pitches other than the changeup. Sometimes your thumb moves around just like your other 4 fingers move around on a baseball. That time, though, it was clearly right on the seam.
There's ball 4. So walk us through what you saw in regard to the grip for Emerson Hancock that led to the seam.
The biggest thing is the thumb. So this is my thumb, and that's a seam. And when he came through, he throws a different changeup. He kind of throws with all 4 fingers on it, but ultimately it's the change. And to me, it looked like as that thumb is on the seam, when he lets it go. We'll look at it this way: is he lets it go. If it gets enough of the seam, the other thing you can do is it can take your nail and it can drive it right into the skin of your thumb. It's probably one of those 2 things. So my deal was I spiked my breaking ball, and ultimately my nail would bust like right there. And so you'd have to, I mean, it'd be 4, 5, 6 weeks into the season to where it would happen. So it sounds like wimpy. I mean, that you can have something that small that can affect it. It's a big deal, because now if you start going, all right, well, I'm going to move my thumb here. I'm going to move my thumb. Now everything changes. Your arm angle can change. You got to be careful with it, because it can really change stuff.
Well, and that's a big piece of the pitch design in today's world, right? Like, how can we tweak grip pressure and finger position? And that thumb is busted up right there.
Bunt attempt is foul back. So does that look like something that would affect him a week from now?
My bigger question would be, has it happened before? Because sometimes it can be repetitive just because consistently that seam's hitting the exact same spot. Yeah, it potentially could. I mean, you can pitch through it. You're just not going to pitch through it today. There's no benefit to trying to pitch through it today. You don't want to make it any worse.
Redshirt freshman Cheney Rogers batting in the 9-hole for Georgia. Pardon me, Tucker Maxwell. And Rogers is going back to the bag. 1-2. Doesn't seem too bothered by it. Maxwell 0 for 2 today.
No, seems like they made quick work of whatever they did to the thumb, right? Like you said, it's not like he's disappeared and gone to get a stitch or anything like that. So I would say that's a good sign if you're a Georgia fan. I would say just in general, kind of putting a bow on his outing, it was more off speed than I've seen from him in the past, and it was right out of the gate with it. You almost wonder if he was, because he knew he had a short outing, if he was wanting to come out and throw a few more than normal just to do it.
I'll tell you, the other thing is it could be a little bit like a spring training start, to where if there's something you want to work on, this is a good time to work on it, because next week is not the week to work on anything.
89 miles an hour past Tucker Maxwell. A lot of radar guns in the ballpark, as always, and both from the teams and from the scouts who are watching a guy, Emerson Hancock, who figures to be the first pitcher off the board next year. Maybe the first overall pick next year.
Think of the fuel in this conference next year from a pitching standpoint of guys that are draft eligible. I mean, I'm probably going to miss a few, but let's bounce around a little bit. Asa Lacy.
Okay.
Tanner Burns. Hancock.
JT Ginn.
JT Ginn, draft eligible sophomore. Tommy Mace.
Maybe Jack Leftwich sneaks back up there after a strong finish.
Who am I missing?
Garrett Crochet.
Okay.
Left-hander from Tennessee.
I feel like we're missing one more. That's a lot.
That is.
I mean, and all of those guys, maybe not Mason Leftwich, we'll see how it goes. All those, everybody else could potentially be a first-round pick. Maybe down a little bit this year as far as the draft eligible guys in the league, but that's kind of the country in general. And this is not a power pitching year from a college standpoint in the draft.
And it matters to big league teams. Just looking at 2017, Corbin Martin, second-round pick of the Astros. He's in the big leagues. Kyle Wright, first-rounder of the Braves with Vandy. He's in the big leagues. Walker Buehler. You go on and on. It doesn't take long to make the jump.
Casey Mize should be there right now. That was last year. If the Tigers had a chance to win, Mize would be in the big leagues. Or should be in the big leagues.
That one will stay at the plate. What an odd carom that took.
Be cool if they called him up to pitch in that game in Omaha.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. I don't think they're going to do it, but how about if they called him up and Brady Singer? Just because it'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, forget like starting their arbitration clock early. Who cares about that? Let's just call them up.
Well, you can go right back down. It's not. I mean, it's like a week of service time.
Got to put him on a 40-man. No hitter in Double-A already for Casey Mize. His numbers this year, I mean, it was like 56 strikeouts and 6 walks. I mean, it looks like what he was doing at this level last year. And A-ball and Double-A.
He is still younger than the average age in the Eastern League.
Look out.
Who's got it? Who wants it?
And that's what you got to do. You got to be coming over at an angle. That's why we saw earlier Keenan couldn't see when he was camped underneath it, and Kessinger needed to come over. That's where you have got to talk to your fellow infielder. Say, hey, man, if it's right at me, you've got to take it. See him. He's talking to him. Take it, take it, take it. Servidio's sideways, and you can see it with ease. Well done right there by the Ole Miss. Excuse me, Adams, not Servidio. Well done by the Ole Miss infield right there.
2 down after the leadoff walk. Here's Aaron Schunk. Have you ever seen anyone get hit by a pop-up that they lost in the sun?
I think I've seen some. I've never seen a bad one. But I feel like I've seen some outfielders maybe wear it off the arm, but nothing that stands out as.
Nothing over the top of on the top of the head.
Yeah. Most guys bail, right?
Yeah.
Like as soon as you know you don't have
that's
it.
What I was thinking about with Kessinger. Like you don't see it. You have no idea where it is, and you're holding up a bare hand. You're target practice.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy how good you become at guessing where the ball's going to finish just on its way up. But once it gets to the top and you lose it, you know you're in about the right spot, but of course, you've lost those couple of seconds, and so at that point,
what's that feeling?
It's a bad one, man. It is a really bad one, and you're just praying that it either comes back out of the sun or that somebody comes over and bails you out. But you got to hang in there because sometimes you will catch it there on the way down. with the Astros, we used to have a rule because you play so many games in spring and then you have instructional league. The Astros used to have a rule with minor leaguers. If you missed a pop-up without glasses on, whether it was the flip shades or real, it was a $50 fine. Any ball, like foul ball, practice, game, didn't matter if it was mattered or not. If you missed a pop-up without glasses on,
it's 2 days of meal money.
Cost you money.
2 days.
That'll learn you. You start putting your glasses on real quick.
Set up off the plate and hit his spot.
Now, do you like missing that much on a 1-2 pitch?
Out.
On a 1-2 pitch?
No, it's too far out. I'm okay. I mean, if you're going to set up, say on the line of the batter's box, good with that.
Right.
3-4 inches out, you got a chance to get a swing right there. If you go further than that on a 1-2 pitch, I just think it's too far.
Into left field, Dillard gets to it after a couple of hops, and Aaron Shuck delivers an RBI single.
There's a big swing of the bat by their all-conference third. So here's the last 2 pitches. This one's just so far out, it doesn't really change his eye. The hope is to throw it away, and they want to put him away in. But that one is so far out, I don't even think Shunk bats an eye, and then he's able to pull the hands in and get just enough to dump that ball into left field.
Okay, so to me, if we're going to sequence, because it looked like there was a thought, we're going to go away, now we're going to go. If we're going to sequence there, I want to sequence with a slider down and away, and then come back with a fastball. Because to me, with a slider, like he's given up on that fastball so far out, you don't get the reaction that you want to set up the fastball inside. Slider down and away, you may start to get an action at it. Didn't get it right there. So Mike Bianco on his way out. They'll go to the bullpen. Houston Roth out. Tie ball game about halfway home in Hoover.
Max Chofie from Chicago out of St. Patrick High School will enter the game for Ole Miss. 1 start in the season. It was a midweek game against North Alabama. 1-2 on the year. 4.97 ERA with 34 strikeouts and 25 1/3. Houston Roth continues his strong pitching against SEC opponents. There's a hot one out there. Hands off to Chofie, and he'll face L.J. Talley with 1 on, 2 out, and 1 already in.
And one of the storylines for this Ole Miss club down the stretch is how the bullpen started to falter. Chofie right in the middle of that struggle. His last few outings he has labored, just retired 1 of his last 10 batters in his last 3 appearances. So he gets the ball here in a huge opportunity. Another one of these Ole Miss relievers trying to find some momentum here down the stretch.
And we talk a lot about getting Emerson Hancock ready for the postseason. Of course, that's of utmost importance to Georgia. But Ole Miss looking for some confidence in this bullpen, not just individually, but as a group.
As a group, and they have to be excited that they've seen Parker Caracci close the last couple ball games, because that's the piece you have to have. Ryan Olenek did a nice job of giving them a boost.
Servideo drifts back, sunglasses on, and that will close the 5th. A run on a hit and 1 left on. Middle of the 5th, tie game. Fitting lyrics. I'm pretty sure we had a triple shot of crazy once or twice this week. Georgia, Ole Miss in this one, then Vandy and LSU. If you're just tuning in for the first time, LSU played the longest game in SEC history. 17 innings, 6.5 hours. Tuesday night into Wednesday. Wait, Wednesday night and Thursday morning? Sure. Yeah. What were you doing during that game, Berkey? I mean, me, Kyle Peterson, and Todd Walker were here nearly till sunrise.
I was counting sheep, Tom. He gone.
Appreciate your support. He gone. So what'd you think? You woke up, you checked the box score, either that or you came in, you start gathering your notes, getting ready for the 9:30 game that day. What was your first thought when you saw how late that game went?
I'm kind of ashamed to say this, but I kind of giggled just thinking
Not
about
a bit ashamed to say
how long you guys were here. Oh, but we've all had our nights here at Hoover through the years, and you guys have certainly had your fair share. And it wasn't a weather deal, just baseball that wouldn't end. But can I ask you guys, I think you'd be in favor of this. Is it time for the SEC in this event, especially to start thinking about extra innings, putting a runner at second base?
I'm all for it.
I mean, all kidding aside, like the league obviously values this event at a very high level, but
maybe after like the 11th.
I mean, you don't want your teams wearing out your bullpen the week before the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah, I think that makes some sense. Maybe after the 11th. What do they call that? Like California rule or something like that?
I don't know that 17 innings is good for anybody here.
You just, after the 11th, you just go out and go 2 out of 3 Rochambeau, and whoever wins it, you just walk it off.
Yeah, just change
rock, paper, scissors, and call it good.
Might as well go to penalty kicks.
So you're in favor of it?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Tommy?
This tournament's been going on for 43 years. Kenny, how long have we had games go longer than 13 innings? Not very often. I mean, it was only the second 17-inning game. I feel like we're trying to fix a problem that doesn't really exist.
Okay.
So is that a no?
It's a no. Why'd you start changing the game?
How long ago did we bring the 10-run rule in?
Don't have an answer to that question.
It hasn't been here the whole time, I don't think,
No.
has it?
No. And
that's a good change.
It's a great change. But you're still playing the game. You're still playing the game with the same rules.
But you don't do that during the year. That's a tournament-specific rule.
Thomas Dillard with a base hit through the right side.
It's an interesting draft guy for me. I know that we've talked about Dillard a little bit. The question is going to be, do you think Thomas Dillard can catch? And if you think Thomas Dillard can catch at the next level, Thomas Dillard is, to me,
interesting. Very
really
interesting. Yeah.
Switch hitter, good runner, not an unbelievable runner, but good runner.
Yeah, good instincts
with
some
juice. And I know a lot of that home run or a lot of that power came early, but dude can hit. OPS is close to 1,000 on a year.
Yeah, 2 years in a row in this league, he has been really productive. You can make an argument he was, a top 2 or 3 hitter in this league last year, just across the board. This year, not quite as productive, but still a really, really valuable piece of everything they do. And if you can put him behind the plate and it's real, then you're right. I mean, you get an offensive switch hitting catcher. That's a rare commodity. We're going to see a switch hitting catcher go first in the draft this year.
Adley Rutschman from Oregon State. Greg Kessinger, 1 for 2. Let me ask you, when Buster Posey was coming out of Florida State, were people on him as good as people have been on Adley Rutschman? I mean, he went, I think, 4th or 5th overall.
They were on it pretty good. Yeah. There's been a lot of catchers taken high in the last 10 years. I mean, top 5, top 8 overall. Joey Bart last year. Buster's longer than that now, I guess. But Mike Zunino went 3rd or 4th to the Mariners.
There's a great article in Baseball America. This
Look out
one's
now.
Launched to left field, and it is gone. 2-run shot by Greg Kessinger. Just his 5th home run of the season, but that was a blast.
It has been a slow offensive tournament for the first team All-SEC shortstop, but he took his time to admire that one. A bomb to left field. That one runs back over the plate. He drops the head to it, and we've seen that the ball is carrying pretty well to left field. Greg Kessinger launches one to left, and the Rebel offense has gotten it going a little bit in this ballgame, and they're all fired up.
Coming into this season, I understand Vanderbilt's had a great offensive year. State's had a great offensive year. I still thought this was one of the top 2 or 3 offenses in the league. Starting to look like it again today. Top to bottom, they can do some things. There's length in the lineup. There's speed in the lineup.
Hitting 180 in the tournament coming into this game. And that's their 2nd home run. For more, here's Chris Budden.
Well, Mike Bianco told me before the game, because of how well they hit at the beginning of the year, this team hasn't lost confidence in their ability at the plate, and he didn't think his team had been pressing. He said, the one thing is I just want to keep staying in this tournament so my guys can get that back, get the feeling back. But he says the one thing they never lost was the confidence, and they proved it early today.
Is that hard to not lose confidence when, not just individually, but once again as a team you're struggling?
I think it's hard, but I do think this game more so than any trains you for it. But let's be honest, man, they got beat up by the Bulldogs at home, right? Their rival comes in, beats them 3 in their own backyard, and then they lose the first couple to Tennessee. It was not pretty.
Yeah.
And I called 3 of those ball games, but they figured out a way to win Game 3 against Tennessee, and they've carried that over to this tournament.
Keenan trying to beat the shift. The throw was wide, and he's safe. You get the third baseman, Shunk, essentially playing short. They'll rule it an error on Shunk. His 11th, and if Shepard's there, not so much of an adventure, you'd think.
No, and this is one of those things that's interesting about the way different teams play the shifts. To me, if somebody's going to play shortstop, play your shortstop at shortstop, right?
I agree. Move your third baseman over to where Shepard was. I totally agree.
To me, if somebody's still going to man the shortstop position, it should be the kid who had the highest fielding percentage all season long at that position. Instead, you put your third baseman over there. He has an uncomfortable throw that sails on him, and now the Rebels have another base runner.
Now Cole Zabowski up. And he sends one to right. Keenan will stop at second. 2 on for Ole Miss. Still nobody out in the 5th.
All right, so here's what we're talking about. Okay, let's give you numbers. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Here's what changed. 5's there. 6 is there. Your shortstop's playing in the spot that ultimately, I'm with you. I mean, I think if you're going to play that shift, that's totally fine. I just want my shortstop playing shortstop because ultimately your third baseman's playing a straight-up shortstop position. Shortstop makes that play a lot. I'm not saying that Shepard makes it, but he's used to making it.
I am. Shepard's.
Well, I was the one talking. You can. That's fine. I was doing all the artwork.
We've been here all week. That's the first time you've used
Second time.
I must have been asleep the first time.
Yeah, Shepard's going to make that play, and we'll see if they can pitch out of it. But the shift presents all kinds of variables, and that's one that you can actually eliminate.
Ryan Olenek trying to bunt his way on. What do you got on the bunt here from Olenek?
I like it. You get a chance to. You got Graham on deck, who's really swinging the bat well. You got a chance to go up 3. And a tough AB, and who knows, that could have been Olenek on his own because that was not an early show by Ryan Olenek. But I don't mind a guy like Olenek who can handle the bat trying to play a little small ball.
How often, if ever, did you bat with sunglasses on?
I tried it one time. I couldn't do it. It was annoying to me. I was saying this the other day. I could see the nose piece as I was looking out to the pitcher, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I had to get rid of it.
It's got to be, I don't know, 1990, 1991, whenever Phil Nevin was at Fullerton.
Yeah.
Which I think is about right then. And we had really good seats that year. We had really good seats that year in Omaha. And Nevin, one of the Golden Spikes was right there. He's one of the best players in the country. He's on the on-deck circle with Oakley's on.
Yes.
I thought he was maybe the coolest human being on the face of the earth.
I agree with that.
The fact that this dude was actually going to hit with sunglasses. And then he'd go up and hit one into the zoo.
And I actually remember watching that World Series, too, and thinking how cool he was. Yeah, no doubt.
That was the first one that I really remember. I'm sure there was others, but that's the first one that stuck.
Second most plunks in the league this year. They'll visit Tony Losey here. First time Ole Miss has had the bases loaded in the tournament. Losey's thrown 20 pitches. Needed just 1 pitch in the 4th to strike out Jacob Adams in that inning. Here in the 5th, single home run error, single hit batter. Aaron Pasquale getting loose.
It's a funny game, and last night you guys saw Mississippi State run a first rounder out there against a walk-on and end up getting run ruled. Today we're seeing a bullpen guy for Ole Miss take the mound against who's going to be the #1 pick probably in the draft next year. And right now, the Bulldogs find themselves in a 2-run deficit against an offense that really hadn't done a whole lot this week. So you just never know. But this Ole Miss lineup showing a lot today against two really talented arms.
Already 9 hits today, almost doubling their output the first 2 games.
Crazy.
You ever have a sock puppet as a kid, Berkey?
Well, no. And Will Etheridge has shown us some things this week. He had the catcher's gear on the other day. He was doing some powerlifting at the end of the dugout yesterday, and now we got a banana sock puppet.
That's what the broomstick was? He was one with the broomstick at the end of the game yesterday?
Yeah, he was down there doing clean and jerk.
But it also happens to be my nicknames for you guys.
Who's who?
I think you know. Nothing in 2 to Kevin Graham.
Gun burp right there, because that was more than 73. 96 on the stadium.
It's a 2-run deficit for Georgia. Bases loaded, nobody out. And walk me through the defensive alignment. You've got the corners playing even with the bags.
Yeah, so I think it makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you're down 2 runs. I also like it once you get later in the count because you're more likely to get softer contact. But I think right here your corners are both going home if the ball's hit right to them. And in the middle, you're obviously going to go ahead and turn 2. But Georgia's trying to take away that run with their corners defense here.
Graham goes down on 94. Second strikeout for Losi. And now you can play for the double play.
And that one he just lets go. And for Losi, I think that's when he's at his best. Just take that fastball and let that thing go. Stays on plane. You can see, watch the swing. With that elevated fastball, the swing through, when it's really working, the swing through is going to be underneath the baseball every time. Hitters expecting that ball to have a little bit more sink than it does. That one just stayed on plane. It's a big strikeout with the bases loaded, nobody out right there for Losi.
Cooper Johnson drove in a run with a ground out in the 4th. 0 for 2 today.
And we've highlighted some 0-2 pitches or 2-strike pitches that were designed to be way off the plate. To me, especially with premium fastball velocity, I like that one on 0-2 much more so than I do the one that's dramatically off the edge. That one that's over the plate but up around the letters.
No balls, 2 strikes.
Late twice in a row, KP. I don't see any reason to go away from it, do you?
No.
Climb the ladder one more time?
Yeah, and in. Inner half and up.
There you go. You see that sign right there by Meadows. Looked like he's telling him to throw this one up. Let's see if he does it. Yep. Love it.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Tony Losi.
And that's 2 in a row, man. That is just a beautiful execution by Tony Losi. Just a couple fastballs in the zone. If you're Cooper Johnson, you got to hit one of those 2. And then, bam, climb the ladder with a fastball. And beautiful sequence and execution there by Losi as he continues on a 2-strike count to get that ball just above the hitting zone.
Anthony Servideo at the plate with the bases loaded. Losi trying to get out of trouble.
Now you're in a plus count. You got a fastball pitcher on the mound, and you're in a dead red fastball count with the bases loaded. Nowhere to put you. Let's see if Servideo can get the head out to one of these heavy heaters by Tony Losi.
Right side, coming in hot, and L.J. Talley will handle it. But Greg Kessinger goes yard, a 2-run shot in the 5th, and Ole Miss has a 5-3 lead. Getting you ready for the NCAA tournament, and Monday at 2 Eastern, following the selection show on ESPNU, we'll have SEC Now Road to Omaha. The SEC Now team will take a complete look of the road to Omaha for all the SEC teams following the NCAA selection show. Preview the upcoming regionals. It's Monday at 2 Eastern on the SEC Network. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. We'll know the field a little bit after noon on Monday. Last year, the SEC set a record with 10 conference teams in. There are 10 and a half maybe right now. Missouri and Florida both on the bubble.
I think there's 9 3/4.
Okay.
Because I don't think Florida's comfortably in right now.
Yeah.
I think Florida should be in, but I don't think they're comfortably in right now.
Who's their biggest competition for one of those last spots in your estimation?
I mean, we talked Texas State. I think they're in, or they're in that discussion. I think BYU's in that discussion. Arizona has, I guess, come back into the discussion. I do disagree with that one. Arizona's 3-16 against the RPI top 50. That doesn't do it for me.
Their best win is maybe Sam Houston State. Here are the projections with the SEC teams. 4 number 1 seeds. They'll have a chance to host. LSU, according to some, will be hosting now as a 1 seed. Here's Cam Shepard. You mentioned BYU. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if BYU gets in, because they don't play any sports on Sundays, their regional would start a day early.
Yeah, I believe it'd start Thursday.
Florida versus Texas State. 16 top 50 wins versus 4. And again, I know that's a league deal, but they're 4-4 versus the top 50. Florida 16-20.
Yeah, I think to be fair, you don't necessarily look at the total number of wins. You have to look at the opportunities and the wins within those opportunities.
It will never be apples to apples. And, you know, to me, okay, so you got 8 games versus the top 50. You played them 500.
Yeah.
Is that enough to jump a team like Florida, who's had so many opportunities, and not just top 50 games, but like top 5 games, right? I mean, you're talking about a team that's played Mississippi State, has played Vanderbilt.
Line drive to Kessinger. I think the other way to consider it is every time you play a top 50 team is an opportunity to lose.
Yes. Yeah.
Speaks, and it's reflected in the strength of schedule.
I just think I get it that some of those teams have no chance to play a ton of those games, but it seems like for that to be a louder number to carry the strength of schedule and the quality non-conference wins that Florida has, it seems like it should be 6-2 or at least 5-3. But a 500 record versus the top 50 when you've only played 8 of those games, it just doesn't jump off the sheet at you.
Patrick Sullivan chops one off of his ankles. Nothing in 1. He is 0 for 2 today. In center, here's Olenek. 2 down, and with Mason Meadows coming to the plate, his pre-at-bat routine a little bit more heartfelt than others, right, Chris?
Yeah, he will draw a cross in the dirt before his at-bats. In honor of his brother who passed away at 3 years old from the flu. There you see him drawing the cross. Meadows was 10 years old when his brother passed away, and he said that's the #1 thing that pushes him in this game. He said his brother exemplifies the phrase, live hard, love hard, run to Jesus. So that's what Mason wants to live by. You see it all over his social media pages as well.
Mason was just 10 years old when his brother passed away. So when you talk about everything that he's been through this season from a health standpoint, we showed you the picture of him in the hospital bed with a broken orbital bone, fighting through balance issues and vertigo. He's been through plenty. He's not worried about a couple of baseball injuries.
Yeah, that's a tough one for a 10-year-old to figure out. You can tell he still carries that with him, and neat to see him use that in a positive way, because sometimes when something that tragic happens early in life, you never know which way that'll take you. You can tell he's carrying his brother with him.
Hustling play across the line and into foul territory. Jacob Adams. Fantastic grab by the middle infielder.
Boy, the Rebels are putting together a complete effort here this afternoon. We've seen offense, we've seen power, pitching, and how about a little defense? Glove work from the senior second baseman.
All right, Dari, thanks. And here at the SEC Baseball Tournament, honoring some legends between innings, including Josh Fogg from Florida and Jeremy Sowers with Vandy. Got an interesting story.
Yeah, Jeremy Sowers from Louisville, Kentucky, went to Vanderbilt, played for a long time. When he got done, wanted to use what he had learned in the game plus his intelligence. He wanted to go hop in the front office and got his start as the replay guy for the Tampa Bay Rays, and now finds himself with some advanced scouting. But a really smart young man who is being honored this weekend as a Vanderbilt legend, along with some other great former SEC players.
Is he your age?
He's just a little younger, yeah. Ballard High School. We never actually teed off against each other, but we did match up eventually down the road in the minor leagues.
Two in the second for Georgia, one in the fifth, and Ole Miss with two in the fourth and two in the fifth. They take a 5-3 lead. Ole Miss is looking to become the first 7 seed to advance to the championship game since 2012. That's when Mississippi State won the title. And the Rebels trying to defend their SEC tournament championship.
Let's do it, Jacob. Let's do it. Get it started. Go, Jacob.
Let's take a look at who's taking the next step. Brought to you by Regions, and take you back to Greg Kessinger's at bat in the fifth.
Yeah, they needed him to take the next step. Been a slow offensive week for the junior first-team All-SEC shortstop, but wakes up here with a big swing of the bat, and they're all fired up. The Rebels with a really impressive offensive display against two of the most talented right-handers that the Southeastern Conference has to offer. See right there, first 4 games of the SEC tournament, Kessinger, Keenan, and Zabowski just 3 for 33 today, 5 for 9, a double, a homer, and 3 runs. The middle of that order doing some damage.
They got on Ole Miss postseason. They're going to travel. I think even if they win this tournament, I don't think there's enough for Ole Miss to get through and host.
You know, traveling might not be the worst thing for this club after losing a home regional last year. And you never know. Maybe you travel and win a regional and somehow it falls that you end up hosting a super. It's certainly happened before. I think they're pretty dangerous based on what I've seen this week. Something about this club I just really like with Dillard hitting first. It just feels like a different offense with him right out of the gate.
Have your thoughts changed over the years about what makes a prototypical leadoff hitter?
It has. I do think one of the neat things about the evolution of analytics is causing people to rethink the way they compose their lineup. And, you know, ultimately you want somebody on base, right? Whether that looks like somebody who's fast or somebody that can steal bases or whatever some of those traditional roles were. First and foremost, we need somebody on base.
Yes.
And that's what Dillard gives you. And once he stopped hitting the ball at the ballpark for whatever reason, his number one tool for this lineup is that he gets on base more than anybody else. Run him out there first.
On base percentage, 446 coming into the game. He's walked more than he's struck out. He's walked 53 times. He can run. I mean, second on the team in stolen bases, or third, I guess. He's got 14 stolen bases, only been thrown out twice. He may not physically look like a leadoff hitter, but the body of work says that guy can lead off.
7 for 17 this week with 4 ribbies. It also changes what you do with the rest of the batting order. Like, for example, we see Vanderbilt in game number 2 today. The nation's home run leader, J.J. Bleday, bats second.
Yeah, and you see a lot of people go to that. The best hitter at batting second, right? And for Vanderbilt, man, what a punch where you got the league's leading hitter hitting first, and then the league's most dangerous hitter hitting second. But we saw that Rooker batted second, Mississippi State, the year he won the Triple Crown. And we've seen it in the big leagues. Some teams start to bat their best hitter second. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Trout's hitting second most nights for the Angels. It does. The numbers will tell you that's where you should hit your best hitter. They're going to get a few more ABs over the course of the season, and your 3-hole hitter, and plenty of chances to drive guys in.
And we talked about it yesterday with Ben, too. The other thing I like about the leadoff guy or the number 2 guy being dangerous is oftentimes the starting pitcher is still trying to figure out what he has and what he believes in and what he's comfortable with. And you put a guy up there that could take you deep, you can get off to a quick start.
Does it also change how that hitter expects his at-bats to end? For example, J.J. Bleday the other day could have tried to pull a few. Instead, he goes oppo. He ends up going 5 for 5. I don't think he felt the pressure of being a home run hitter in those scenarios. He's just up there to produce any way he can.
He got a bunch of guys behind him that have been driving in runs all year long,
certainly
right?
Helps,
yeah, he doesn't have to carry the burden. And I think, it's one of the reasons I think Brent Rooker's year is still one of the most impressive I've ever seen in this league, besides the fact he won the Triple Crown. There wasn't a lot around him that year. You remember Mangum had a broken hand, and they kind of figured out a way to get to a super regional. Brent Rooker probably carried his team as well as anybody we've seen, whereas with Bleday, and there's guys doing incredible things up and down that lineup.
Including Austin Martin hitting in front of him, the second best batting average in the country coming into this week. Thomas Dillard is 1 for 3, a single, a run scored, also an RBI groundout, preseason All-American.
Just gives you so many quality at bats. He knows the strike zone as well as anybody in the league. He misses a few more pitches than you'd like to see from him with foul balls and some swings and misses, but man, it's tough to get him to chase.
SEC tournament team last year for the champs, and then spent his summer at least a couple days in Omaha, finished in 3rd place in the home run derby. Dillard reaches, and that'll bring Greg Kessinger up. Kessinger is 2 for 3.
Yeah, so, with Dillard, you got the guy in the lineup that makes you work the most, batting the most. It just makes a lot of sense. And now Kessinger with a little momentum, a couple knocks in this one and a homer, as Ole Miss looking to extend this lead.
Gray's dad Kevin was a first-round pick in '92. His grandpa Don was an All-American in both basketball and baseball at Ole Miss back in the '60s, before going on to a storied big league career, and a Chicago Cubs Hall of Famer. "16 years in the big leagues and a 6-time All-Star." There's one All-Star game that he was a part of where they had the entire Cubs infield make it, including Ron Santos starting next to Kessinger at third.
The last player manager in the big leagues.
In the American League.
Yeah, in the American League. Pete Rose did it.
Did that with the White Sox at the end of his career.
Rather famously, Pete Rose did it.
That is accurate.
You bet. I would, anything you'd be tempted to just write yourself in every day?
Yes.
Kessinger.
Yes.
Playing shortstop and leading off.
Except against the dudes you don't like.
Right.
I don't like our matchup here today.
I'm feeling too good today.
You don't even have to lie about it, though. You don't have to, hey, Skip,
Yeah.
I got a hammy. No, you just
I don't give us our best chance to win this, boys. If you knew what was going on between my ears, you wouldn't put me in there either.
We got who? Koufax? No thanks. Gibson? Nah. Aggressive tag from Patrick Sullivan. Runner here.
A 2-run lead. Decent pitch to run on.
Definitely a guy you can steal on. Losi not the quickest to the plate. I just think you worry about running out of an opportunity here with middle of your order. Kessinger feeling awfully good with the bat today.
Well, speaking of, his grandpa had a chance to play in the same field.
I'll for sure never forget with my grandfather is in high school I got to play in the Under Armour All-American game at Wrigley Field. And, you know, when I told him I was getting to play in that game, he said, if you're going up there to play in my dirt, then I'm going to be there. And so played in the game. Then after the game, he got to come on the field, and we took a picture together against the Ivy. And you know, that picture means so much to me, to him, and our family. It's just something that I'll for sure never forget.
How cool is that? You're going to play on my dirt?
You can say that when you did it for 16 years.
Yes, you can.
You can say that.
It took a little bit of a scheduling advantage just to get the Kessingers to Ole Miss. Runner goes, pitches low. There's ball 4. Don Kessinger is from Forest City, Arkansas. Probably would have stayed and played at the University of Arkansas, but they played a limited schedule back then. He wanted to go somewhere where he could play both baseball and basketball and grow them both. And Ole Miss at the time was the best baseball program in the South. So there you go.
What a huge piece of Ole Miss baseball history would have been changed forever if Don would have made a different decision. They are the first family of Ole Miss baseball.
Recruiting earlier and earlier in this day and age in college baseball. It's a recruit that goes back 80 years, really.
Yeah.
Dillard the runner at second, Kessinger at first. 1 down. Tyler Keenan doubled in the first against Emerson Hancock. Hancock worked 4, left with a bloody thumb, and now Tony Losi. Couple of tickets punched. Illinois Chicago beat Milwaukee in the Horizon 6-5. 6th tournament for the Flames. Their last in it 2 years ago, and the Campbell Camels will be dancing. They knocked off Winthrop in the Big South. 4th tournament appearance for Campbell. Back-to-back for the first time in school history. Two balls a strike.
You know, it's crazy. On paper, we thought Georgia was going to need 2 pitchers and 2 pitchers only to get through this ball game. We thought 2 guys would cover 9 innings, and they might not cover 6. Losi looks like he's laboring out there. Georgia's got some action going in the bullpen and just has not been sharp with his command.
To second. Shepard, sidearm back across
That's really
the diamond.
good.
Sullivan and Shepard
really
combined.
Take it, Berkey.
Bulldog defense, they've been hanging their hat on pitching and defense all season. Sullivan and Shepard, 2 of the best in the league at their positions. Watch Shepard hang in there and then make the accurate feed to finish it off. A beautiful 3-6-3 double play by.
Not a good sign for Ole Miss. Tyler Keenan being helped off the field. He just hit into an inning-ending double play. And he is, I didn't see it, very gingerly making his way back to the dugout. Right hand shaking. It is a hot day. It's in the upper 90s right now. So Ole Miss will have a new third baseman. And
you don't want to see this. I didn't see it. Did he step on the base weird?
No.
Looked like he was fine down the line and going through the bag. Right side of your screen. Past the first base bag.
That looks like he just feeling lightheaded or something.
Yeah, that's the way it looked to me, too.
Yeah.
At first, when I saw him coming off, I was worried that maybe he caught a foot when he was getting to the base, but
yeah, that's why we didn't catch it, because nothing looked out of place. And then you just got to wonder if there's a
heat exhaustion issue.
Yeah, there's some sort of dizziness or something. He goes down and needs help off.
How did you properly prepare to play in the heat? And keep in mind, it's not just one game. They've been out here playing day games all week long.
And it's all about hydration. And, of course, the world's way more educated as far as that's concerned now than when we were playing. But just as much water as you possibly could, not only during the game, but from the moment you woke up. And, it is smoking hot out there today. Looked like Tyler Keenan may be struggling to deal with the elements.
First pitch fouled off by Chaney Rogers. Watch the upper right of your screen after Tyler Keenan goes through the bag, and then immediately the athletic training staff out to take care of him and take him off the field. It's 93 degrees according to the Mercury today, but it feels like 98 according to the weather apps, which means on the field in the direct sunlight, it's likely into the triple digits.
Yeah.
Those things can only do so much. So Keenan replaced at third by Ryan Olenek, and Josh Hall has taken over in center field.
Ryan Olenek, man, the blade, he can do it all. He can close, he can play center, comes in to play third.
Joke with Mike Bianco the other day, like, you found yourself a closer. I mean, he's got that Zach Hess type closer's mentality on the mound, even though he doesn't throw 96.
Yeah, not quite Zach Hess stuff, but I loved his line to Mike Rooney the other day. He said, man, it's a dark place. Runes is like, tell us about the place you go to when you're getting ready, because we had him pacing back and forth in the bullpen, and he's like, I don't even know. It's a dark place. That's all I could say. 2 run saves, KP. It's not like he had a lot of margin for error. It's big time stuff.
Yeah, for a bullpen that has had some issues, that's a good sign, and a guy that full miss is going to make a run is going to need to get him some outs. Nice play.
Zabowski to his feet. Seeing some glove work from the first baseman in this game.
I always think that there's advantages to a left-handed first baseman, because you're going to go glove side a lot more. That ball is hit to this side a lot more than it is down the line, and it allows you to take a little bit more time. Watch the footwork in the last inning, okay, and the eye work of Patrick Sullivan. When that's the 3-6-3 double play. He didn't even look down at the bag. Now this time, left-handed first baseman Zabowski has a little bit more time glove side to make that play, and a good flip to Chaffee covering first base.
One down for Tucker Maxwell.
Well, and Zabowski had lost his first base role for most of this season. They'd been playing the freshman Kevin Graham over at first base because Zabowski had really struggled fielding ground balls, but they went back to him this week, and he's been fantastic over there in some really tough chances. And I'm with you, KP. You get that left-handed first baseman who can take away that 4-hole and add that to a 6-5 target for your infielders, and that really changes things for Ole Miss's defense. Graham's done fine over there, but there's nothing like it, especially if you're on the left side of the infield throwing to the target like Zabowski.
Powder blues always look better, a little bit dirty, don't they? Tucker Maxwell tucking the pants up above the knee.
Little DB look there.
Yeah. A walk. Scott Klein is mic'd up. Here's the umpire chatting with Mike Bianco about the health of Tyler Keenan.
That don't matter. What do you do? Hit the bag wrong?
No, just heat. Just
Oh, heat. Here he is right here, Mike.
Good to know. What was the weirdest thing you did to keep cool?
I don't know that I did anything that I would call weird.
You're a baseball history guy. Back in the day, they used to put a lettuce leaf under their hat.
I've not seen the lettuce
Really?
leaf. Yeah. I'd tell you the weirdest thing I ever did to stay dry.
Okay.
We wrapped plastic bags around our feet at Tennessee. The field used to drain so bad that early in February when it was, you kind of had the slush and the sleet and the rain. You're playing out there, and the infield surface did not drain very well, and it would sit behind the second base position. And so I basically felt like I was standing in a puddle the whole game.
Yeah.
So I just put Ziploc bags around my feet, put my socks over top of them.
That's what my mom used to do when we go sledding in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But you're doing it.
Kept me dry.
Did
Baseball.
your feet move around inside your shoe?
Well, you had socks over top of the bag. You with me?
I mean, I was so fast that would have affected
That would have
my
been a
footwork
problem.
when I was moving all
That makes
around.
sense.
I wouldn't have done something like that.
Interesting. So,
What else you want to talk about?
we came into today thinking that Georgia had the perfect blueprint to get through 8 innings with 2 of the best pitchers in the league. Emerson Hancock runs into a thumb issue. Tony Locey's been not quite ineffective, but not as efficient as they thought. It's one thing how it affects today's game and going into tomorrow's championship, but also does it change the way you think of them going into next weekend?
It doesn't for me. So long as Emerson Hancock's fully healthy and he gets that thumb back, I think you feel the exact same way about Georgia as you did coming in. And Hancock showed us glimpses of why we think he could be the number 1 pick, but had to leave this game a little earlier than expected because we got a thumb issue. And KP did a great job early in the ballgame talking about how he holds that changeup, and it looks like just the friction between the seam and the thumb caused him to bust open there.
Yes. To your earlier question, Tom, it wasn't posed to me, but I'll ask it. I don't.
You'll answer it.
That too. I think they go to Omaha. I really do. I think Georgia ends up in Omaha. I think that pitching staff, and Hancock to me looked really good today. Losey has looked okay, not great. Wilcox, the freshman, like if that's your third guy and he's maybe going to bump 100, I think there's so many pieces pitching and defense-wise that they're not going to have to hit it down. They're going to play at home for 2 straight weeks. Projected to be a number 4 national seed by D1Baseball.com. That means they stay home. 21-9 in this league. That's showing that you can play with anybody in the country, and a record against the RPI top 50s there.
The history is not there. They didn't make it out of Athens last year. The postseason experience that many of those other national seeds have based on what they've done.
But you know what?
Last couple of years.
Now they do have postseason experience. Now it was a loss, I get it, but for a lot of these guys, they went through that experience of playing at home last year. Now you're going to go through it again this year. I think they're an Omaha team.
Here's Connor Green on the mound for Ole Miss, senior from Collierville, Tennessee. 18th appearance. It's a 2-run lead for Ole Miss. Bullpen has been an issue all season. Riley King at the plate for Georgia. We were talking earlier today, Berkey, about the loss that Mississippi State suffered last night. It wasn't just a loss. They got blown out. They got run ruled by an LSU team that has incredible momentum, but they got shut down by a pitching staff that consisted for a day of none of their top 9 pitchers. How does that benefit Mississippi State and specifically those players in the long run?
Well, I think you learn how to take one on the chin and try to bounce back. I think the other piece is that can wake you up a little bit when you get embarrassed by one of your rivals and you got to go home with a bad taste in your mouth. And if you're Chris Lemonis, it probably helps you maybe address some things that you've been thinking about. They didn't play the cleanest brand of baseball defensively last night, and it might help sharpen your workouts leading into a regional coming up next weekend. But to go back to Georgia, I will say this is a different Georgia team headed into the regional than last year. Emerson Hancock was fading down the stretch of his freshman year last year. This year, he's a sophomore. He's had a couple weeks off. He looks fresh and ready to go. And again, the depth of Losey and Wilcox and Webb, and they're going to get C.J. Smith back. Of course, we know Shunk and Christopher. Like, this is as deep and as talented of a pitching staff as you'll find in America. And I think they project somebody's going to have to play a great brand of baseball to beat them at home over the next 2 weeks. Yeah.
Shunk was out for some time with a heel injury and may have saved some miles on his arm in the last quarter of the season.
Yep. He's fresh as well. And anytime you can withstand injuries and still become a national seed, as long as you get those pieces back and they're full go, it can be a blessing.
Opportunity for Georgia. Down by 2, and King fouls it off.
Now, the thing that scares you is what we've seen here from them this week, which is the offense doesn't really run away and hide. And if you make them earn their base runners, they can struggle offensively.
I have a comp for you.
Okay.
Georgia fans won't be happy with this. But because they play so many low-scoring games, because as great as their pitching is, their offense really hasn't lived up to that level. There goes the runner. Line drive to Kessinger. And this will be easy. We'll talk more after this. What does Georgia baseball possibly have in common with Virginia basketball? 5-3. Ole Miss with the lead. Great Kessinger showing off with the glove.
As good as any shortstop in America, folks, making this one look easy. Ole Miss rocking and rolling in this one.
Stretch time in Hoover, and Ole Miss starting to count outs. 6 outs away from going back to the championship game yet again. Patrick Sullivan, first baseman for Georgia. 3-6-3 double plays, not an easy. Watch this, though. The left-hander's going to start it. Throws a dart to Cam Shepard, the shortstop. But watch his eyes as he gets closer to first base. They don't look down. That's not easy because your steps have to be perfect as you're going over to first base. You got to look for the baseball as you're going all the way over there. That's reps and time and time and time again to know what that footwork is to get over there and not have the ability to look down and check first base. That's not easy.
Nothing about that double play is easy on both sides of it. And, Shepard was wise enough to not get to the outside of the base, knowing he has a left-handed first baseman whose ball may sail to the inside part of the bag. Both of those guys are really, really good defenders.
Cole Zabowski looking at a 2-0 count. Ole Miss had to take Tyler Keenan out of the game a while ago. Chris, what have you heard?
Ole Miss staff told me he's going to be okay. He's back behind getting some fluids, and it was just dehydration.
Zabowski 2 for 3, singled and scored in the 4th. Now 57 pitches for Losi. I think this is his final inning.
Could be. I mean, you could take him all the way home if you wanted to. I think for he and Hancock, if you had to set ideal numbers today, it's somewhere between 60 and 75 pitches. It's plenty to get enough work, keep you sharp for next week.
I think they want him to start game 1. So the question is, what do you feel comfortable bringing him back on? Now it's Saturday, so you're talking about
back on what
5 days rest. Yeah. So I don't think 70. Certainly 75 is not too much.
Wow. Funky hop up the middle, and it gets through. And Zabowski's got a 3-hit game. A lot of stick and ball going on. Let's check in with Dari. "25 bombs. Wow.
Do it. Blade range.
Ryan Olenek swings at the first and pops it up. Meadows will keep the mask on. One of the issues with that hockey-style mask, he can't peel it off quickly. He's able to catch it and took it onto the first step of the dugout, so an extra base for Zabowski. So give him the catch, but an extra 90 feet because Meadows went into the dugout.
Yeah, you see that. You're right. Exactly right. He ended up falling into the dugout. And that's a rule we've seen change here over the last few years where you can it's still an out, but if you take it out of play, the runner advances.
Yeah, it's out of play. Simple as that. And Meadows and Tony Losi were asking home plate umpire Jeff Head about it, but he was all over it, as he typically is. Scott Strickland has seen enough for Tony Losi. 61 pitches. Starter Emerson Hancock lasted 64.
And KP, this one makes sense to me just because this isn't a normal 61 pit. Like, it's hot out there.
Yeah.
There were some high-stress situations. There's just no reason at this point to go any further, I don't think.
No, and I mean, it's one less day than he's used to. Tony Losi's been a bullpen guy. He's pitched on different days, so they think he has the flexibility to switch up his routine a little bit. I'm with you. I think Losi probably throws game 1 of the regional, Hancock game 2, Wilcox game 3, and figure it out from there if you need to.
Nothing routine about dealing with the sun on this hot afternoon, especially if you're trying to field pop-ups. It's been an adventure for both sides today.
Yeah, we see Tyler Keenan couldn't find it. Unfortunately for the Rebels, that just ended in a fielder's choice. Cam Shepard couldn't find it. That ended up being a base hit and a runner that scored. Kessinger couldn't find it. Adams bailed him out. Tough day to catch pop-ups.
Not as tough as it was in 2014. I asked you if you ever saw one go off the top of somebody's head. Christian Ibarra at third base here in this tournament loses it right to Alex Bregman. That's using your head.
And I can't believe I forgot that. KP, we were calling that one.
Yeah, I know. I remember it now.
Almost knocked his eyebrow off.
Ibarra stayed in the game, too.
The ideal way to get a flat bill right there. I saw one Little League World Series. It's got to be 10 years ago. Kid pitching for California. If I told this story, stop me. Well, don't stop me. I'm going to finish it. And line drive back. It hit him so square in the bill. It accordioned his bill. I'm not kidding. It was a line drive. Like, if it doesn't hit him in the bill, it's no good. Accordioned his bill. The kid was absolutely fine. Keep pitching. It was unbelievable.
Otherwise, he wakes up next week.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been good. But it ended up all right. That was a really good story, wasn't it?
Fantastic.
Yep.
Tell me the part about the bill again.
You're welcome.
Do you know what an accordion is?
I do.
Justin Glover is a new pitcher for Georgia. Enters with 1 on and 1 out.
Does that surprise you that I know?
No, I just thought maybe it'd be funny. And I've been working with Todd Walker the last few days. He would have said that the accordion probably has strings and a reed.
It's tough to have both.
24th appearance for Glover. He replaces Tony Losi. 2 2/3 for Losi. The number pitches, though, 61. And we'll get a pinch hitter for Ole Miss. Knox LaPosser is coming to the plate.
Good to see Knox LaPosser back in the lineup. Been out with a stress reaction in his leg, and he's given them some good at-bats in the early part of the season, but has missed the last few weeks due to injury. They were hoping to get him back this week in his first appearance.
And he swings at the first. He got a good round in BP on Monday, the workout day, and insisted to Mike Bianco, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Really an odd situation because there wasn't a specific situation that led to the leg issues. It just kind of creeped up. But Bianco's best theory was, he's down there catching a lot. He's squatting a lot. Maybe that's part of it. You don't see that with any other position.
No, he's the heir apparent to Cooper Johnson. And, yeah, he just literally woke up and told him my leg's kind of stiff. And next thing you know, they're getting tests done, and he's on the shelf for a few weeks. But they're certainly glad to have him back. Gives them another right-handed bat.
Intentional walk to Cooper Johnson. And that'll bring Anthony Servideo to the plate. Servideo is 1 for 3. So here's the danger, Berkey, if you're Ole Miss and the lineup construction sits as it is currently put together. Servideo in the 8-hole, Adams in the 9-hole. If you're confident, you can just pitch to those two guys at the end of the lineup and not face many consequences.
Yeah, no doubt.
Do you know what he just said? Do you know what he just said?
How do you mean?
It seemed like an answer back to Tom that you didn't hear what he said, but you just responded. Maybe I'm totally off.
Why don't you respond, Kyle?
Because I didn't hear it. I was waiting for you to say something. I was impressed.
Do you know what I said?
It was well played.
Yeah, you're talking about the bottom of their lineup. Being easier to pitch to with both of those guys hitting back-to-back, right?
Totally
exactly
agree.
Right.
Thank you.
Totally agree. Nice job.
Thank you,
Kyle. Conversation America didn't know it wanted.
They still don't know.
Do you see your buddy across the way? See what he's doing before the pitch? Getting down like he's ready to field a line drive. You gonna let him show up? Show you up? Think if you did all that, you'd get some TV time? That's what I would do. You know, maybe get recruited.
I mean, we got guys being recruited all over the place. They really do start young. How about recruiting for the dance team, maybe? Yeah. A freeze job?
Yeah.
Feeling it.
With a hot dog. It's like, what do we got? Class of 2030 right there. Early enrollee.
8th inning of game number 1. Still to come, LSU and Vanderbilt. And some purple and gold filtering into the ballpark now. Shunk had an RBI single with 2 out in the 5th. Tim Corbin with his pacifier. His fungo. He told Chris Budden, he said, I'm a grown man and I treat my fungo like a pacifier. Isn't it sad?
I will give him credit. The sweet spot on that thing is worn out. Now he's doing a good job with his accuracy there on the fungos.
That was the only other time that I used the telestrator the whole week, is to circle the sweet spot on the, thanks for watching, on the fungo.
Tom, I'm just going to give you all my stories and I'm going to go sit in the shade.
So a walk to Shunk. You run it back next game. We'll have a totally different audience by then.
Get the last word in.
Bianco out. And the former LSU catcher will go to Caleb Hill out of the Ole Miss bullpen. Third reliever of the game for Ole Miss.
Gets one to hit, drives it to right. This one is gone. And the Beavers are on top of the college baseball world.
College World Series starts Saturday, June 15th. We got a wild pitch to start the outing from Caleb Hill. Ole Miss went to Omaha a couple years ago. Freshman Pine Bluff, Arkansas enters after going through Lafayette to get there. And what a super regional that was.
Maybe the road takes them back to Omaha again this year. You never know.
L.J. Talley is 0 for 3. Wild pitch put Shunk at second base. We had an adventure already here between Cooper Johnson and Caleb Hill. We're only 2 pitches into this.
Yeah, we had some struggles in the warm-up pitches, KP.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a catcher get crossed up in warm-ups until today. Cooper Johnson was looking for a breaking ball in warm-ups. Got a fastball to the backstop.
I don't think the Georgia dugout agreed with that one.
Didn't sound that way.
Wow. That's the nicest way to argue with an ump. Foul ball.
Well, L.J. Talley thought that one was fair. He's not happy with Scott Klein.
Listen, man, I think Talley's got a chance to play for a while. I really do. I mean, offensively, the jump this year, OPS is well above 900. He's made 3 errors the whole year at second base. He's got 8 home runs. I think he's a really good senior sign for somebody this year. Put him at second base. They hit it to him. He picks it up, throws it to first. Left-handed bat. That's a really good left-on-left swing right there.
One down.
I like the way the baseball comes out of Caleb Hill's hand. I mean, it's 90-91, but it looks like it's got a little bit more on it. Went back to that inside fastball. Talley had just missed a double down the right field line. This time that one locked him up.
LJ Talley still ticked off about that ball he hit down the line.
Do you have a good view of it as a hitter? Fair foul?
Yes, and you know, that's one of those where you feel like the first base umpire or the third base umpire for a right-handed hitter never gives you the benefit of the doubt, because the rule is supposed to be where it crosses the base, right? And so often that ball is hooking violently and you feel like it goes over the bag, but yeah, the next bounce is noticeably foul. But that was the one play that I noticed as a hitter that you almost never got that call, where the ball bounces foul and they call it fair. It just felt like it was very rare for an umpire to see it the same way that you did. But we all think they're fair.
Sure. Kessinger kicks it, recovers in time. He's lucky that ball stayed right underneath him.
I tell you, that was a weird hop that he probably should have retreated a little bit. As firm and fast as this surface gets, middle of the day, he charges this ball and then gets caught in between. But watch how easy this arm strength is. That is a flick of the wrist, and that is a BB across the diamond. That's one of the things I've been most impressed with Kessinger all season long, is how easy his arm strength was. Without that kind of arm, Cable's safe.
We got two shortstops in this game that can really defend. Really defend. Cam Shepard for Georgia, Kessinger for Ole Miss, two of the best in this league defensively.
They'll go back to the bullpen apparently. An 8-pitch outing for Caleb Hill, and Mike Bianco getting his guys some work. It's a 2-run lead with a tying run at the plate, and Cam Shepard due up.
Parker Caracci gets another chance. A young man who we thought maybe had lost his closer job, now trying to close out the third straight win here for the Rebels.
It won pretty for him to close the regular season, but Caracci's been solid in the tournament.
And Big Ben was all week long was saying that he thought Mike Bianco should go back to Parker Caracci, and he has.
Let's go back to last year, Ole Miss, Georgia.
Now it's full of 3-2. Ground ball right back to Caracci. He throws it over the catcher, Fortes. 2-run score. Are you kidding me? That ball is hit high in the air to right. Home run, Georgia. LJ Talley getting it done. Tim Rowe. Ground ball. Is that going to get back up the middle? Ole Miss with a walk-off. 5-4 is your final.
Ole Miss would go on to win the whole thing. Chris Budden, what do you got?
Yeah, Mike Bianco telling me that Parker Caracci never really lost his confidence during his rough stretch earlier this year. He said, listen, it's a long season, 10 days and 3 bad outings. You know, he's a guy that I don't ever have to worry about, and it was good to see him go get the back-to-back saves. I ran into his dad on the concourse today, and I asked him, you know, if he's seen his confidence and his composure change in the last couple of days. He said, I don't speak to him when we're on the road. I just let him do his thing.
Sounds like us.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of kid you root for right here. And one of the things the coaching staff said is, even with the late season struggles, he has not blinked. Never once has he backed away from an opportunity. And you like to see kids like that who have overcome a lot and who also are struggling keep answering the bell. And oftentimes when you do that, things will turn. And it seems to be that it has turned for Parker Caracci here this week.
Cam Shepard hit a walk-off home run for Georgia already this week. Does he have more magic in the bat here in the 8th? It's getting late. Shepard got underneath it. Won't leave the infield. Zabowski comes in from first. Takes care of it for the final out. Parker Caracci in a high leverage situation. Controls the lead for Ole Miss. They're up 2.
After the game, we're going to bring the winners up to the set with us. Also get you ready for Vandy and LSU. And wait till you see DeLucci versus Alyssa Lang racing remote controls. It is really limiting to do anything with this, including hold a mic. But Chris Button helped me. So we're good to go. I'm ready to go bake now, guys.
Either that or fly for Top Gun, one of the two. I wasn't expecting that.
He's been trying to find one all week. He finally did.
Well, maybe he can turn over some chocolate chip cookies. That'd be good.
Well, it's hard to hold a mic. I feel like it's hard to hold on to second base. But yet we keep seeing players go to it.
And what is this?
It's hard to scratch your nose.
Finger?
Yeah, I guess we're going finger protection. We've figured out a way to protect pretty much everything else. Now we've gone to fingers.
Wonder if Emerson Hancock can throw with it.
Here he goes.
You calling everybody soft?
No, obviously pads are a part of the game. I mean, we got the elbow pad. We got a lot of people going shin pad.
Did you ever wear one?
We got the jaw pad.
Did you wear a shin guard ever?
I have, only when I really was busting up my shin, but I feel like every time I ever wore one, it would miss it. Like I'd foul ball off my foot or my knee, and I'm like, why am I going through the trouble of putting this on when it doesn't even fully protect me?
That's weird because given your stature, you would think that one shin pad could go from your toes to your waist.
Interesting.
Oh. I don't think that's right. People say things like that to you.
I can tell that stung you.
That stung Jacob Adams. Oh, take first base.
What we got? Review it?
Yeah, they Scott Strickland immediately came out and said, I want to take a look at it, see if Jacob Adams moved into it.
If you're unfamiliar, new rule in college baseball, if you do lean into a pitch, no matter where it was, it's
they're going to bring it back. I think they're going to bring it back. See that last move? What do you got here?
You know, again, as you turn in, is that getting closer to the ball or is that just turning in? I would like to see that one stand, me personally.
You have to have camel legs for your knee to bend the other way.
I mean, look, he's turning in. Is that getting...
He leaned in. He leaned in. Watch the last move. He's not turning in. He moved his leg into it. I do disagree with you here. Watch this. That's not turning in to try to get away from it.
I didn't think he made a move at the baseball. I like it. I like it.
I haven't done a game with you yet this year, so I'm curious what you think of the rule overall.
I don't like the rule. I think umpires should always have the option to be able to call a ball. And I know the intentionality behind the rule is to eliminate the behavior of a hitter trying to make the baseball hit him. And so the penalty of calling it a strike is the hope is that they stop trying to make the ball hit them. But there's been a few this year that
it ended a game.
Yeah,
I think it's ended 2 games.
I saw one where it hit a kid in the head, and it was ruled that he tried to make it hit him in the head. And so there's been a few this year that I know have made the rule look bad, but
it's a bad rule.
Yeah, I think ball should always be an option.
I didn't know what was wrong with it before.
Well, before the lawyers weren't involved.
You may notice a little extra hair sticking out of the back of his helmet. He had some long hair. Mike Clement, assistant coach, was in the dugout. He was shaving his own head, and Dillard said, "Hey, I need a haircut. How about we shave it on the sides, leave a little tail in the back?" And Clement goes, "I'm going to need to talk to your mom first. I don't want her mad at me." They got approval from mom, and so it's I don't know, what do you call it, like a 2 guard on the side, maybe? With a little party hanging down the neck.
Yeah, I like that combo. I'm a 2-guard on the side guy. Don't say anything hard.
Your hair looks great today.
Thanks for your haircut update, KP.
You're welcome.
I like Thomas Dillard's look, and I'd like to see where that could go if they play a few more weeks. That could really be something special.
That's the secret to success of the Stanley Cup playoff. They got like 2 months to grow the beards.
Yeah. That thing just keeps creeping further and further out the back of that helmet. It really turned into something. You should go with that, KP. You could go longer in the back. Yeah. Can't do much about the top, but the back you have some options with. You know what I mean?
2-2 to Dillard.
Be a community service. Thomas Dillard was on the SEC community service team. Participated in reading with the Rebels and helped deliver 50 Thanksgiving baskets.
Did you ever on a stare down like that? Did you ever not ask for timeout?
I don't think so. Yeah, that always gets uncomfortable. Actually, Dillard hung in there longer than I expected him to. I will say this, as a base runner, I always felt like teams do a bad job of always going quick after the hold. You see right there is the long hold, and then...
So would you run?
Yeah, right. So it almost gave it away. So then once they go long hold, you're anticipating the quick delivery, and sometimes it would actually have the opposite effect of what it's intended to do, which is to make you a little anxious at first base.
Jacob Adams 4 of 6 this season. Off and running, he'll go back to the bag.
And this is another one of those we've been talking about all game. I mean, having Dillard in the leadoff spot, you're getting back up there for that 5th AB here in the 8th. Chance to do damage, and Adams finds a way to get on base. We've seen Servideo get on base in this game, and if you can get something out of these 8 or 9 guys, it gives Dillard a chance to not only impact the game by getting on base, but then when he's going to start hitting homers again at some point. And when he does, it'd be nice if you got somebody on in front of him.
Running again, strike 3, throw it under second and plenty of time. Strike him out, throw him out, double play.
This is almost like a hit and run jump right here, just to make sure that you don't get picked off. So if it's a strikeout, Adams is out if it's anywhere close to second base. And it's a good job by Meadows there right there not to rush it, because you know you got enough time. Just make sure it gets down there in the air. Give LJ Talley a chance to put that tag on.
That's one where Mike Bianco's trusting his junior to put the ball in play, and Dillard gets frozen, costs the Rebels a chance at it. Runner in scoring position.
Ranging to his left, Shepard comes up empty on the dive.
Three-hit day for Greg Kessinger. He's been on base 4 or 5 times.
Just a matter of time. Young man who had a fantastic regular season against league play. Second in the league in batting average against, behind only Austin Martin.
Shortstop in the big leagues?
I think so. Yeah, I think Mike Bianco makes it. We're going up a mid here. Mike Bianco makes a great comp with Zach Cozart, who played here at Ole Miss for him, and now the third baseman for the Anaheim Angels, but played shortstop in the big leagues for a long time with the Reds. Very similar type of player.
He just pointed to the first base coach. He said, "This thing is sweaty. Has Dari been wearing it?" First plate appearance for Josh Hall.
Two in a row. Always a good time to try to get a good one right here. Go first move, and if you get thrown out, you get thrown out. But, Hall's probably not going to hit an extra base hit. So if you want to score in this AB, you need to get to second. There it was. No, Josh Hall, the national high school record holder for stolen bases in a career. Stole 80 bases twice in his high school career. You're only playing like 30-something games. That's 80? A lot of bats. 80 twice, his sophomore and his senior year. Junior year got hurt, or the record would be insane.
Right up the road, Homewood High School. Unit parade.
The Burke parade is here.
There you go. Glover gets a nice stretch from Patrick Sullivan, and that'll end the 8th. Last chance for Georgia, down 2 as we head to the 9th. Bottom third of the order due up. Hoover met Hoover, Alabama. Another fantastic crowd on hand. Game 1 of our semifinal Saturday. 5-3 Ole Miss looking to get back to the championship game. We've never had a championship team, by the way, that had to play on the first day of the tournament. Trying to defend their championship. Parker Caracci on the mound for Ole Miss. Still to come, it'll be LSU and Vanderbilt. Best team during the regular season, and I don't know, how would you describe LSU? I didn't want to say lucky. That it's almost an insult, but they're not the hottest team, but
you got to
find a way.
The best regular season team this year, and you got the best team in this event every year, seems like, or certainly one of the. They figure out a way to play their best baseball and come up with memorable plays every year, it feels like.
Well, they figure out a way to win today, they're going to play at home in the postseason.
Yeah.
If they can beat Vanderbilt today,
you don't think they're already there?
I don't think they're a lock. They may be there, but I don't think it's a lock. If you win today, I think it is.
UCSB losing yesterday certainly helped.
Yeah, they will not host right now.
What's amazing, Berkey, is not only is LSU great at home, we know that, and it's a small sample size because they haven't had to go on the road in regionals very often.
Yeah,
they haven't advanced to Omaha through a road regional since 1989.
Crazy.
Chuck Knobloch was playing for Texas A&M in that series. That's how long ago it was. Georgia bring the tying run to the plate here in the 9th after the Patrick Sullivan single. It's his first hit. And now Mason Meadows, who hit a 2-run home run in the 2nd inning, comes back to the plate. Meadows was a high school quarterback. He said, I love playing that position because it was all about leadership, and he's leading the way with his bat today.
A slider that just hung up there long enough for Meadows. 3rd home run of the year, and for a catcher who's really in there for defense first. Georgia, a team that needed some offense today. It's been mostly Meadows that got it.
Uh-oh, that one to the double doors.
Well, Parker Caracci closed out the last couple ball games after a rough stretch to finish the season. Pretty rough stretch to start this inning. A leadoff single and just a bit high and inside with that offering. A slider that just completely came out of his hand.
And that happens when it's this hot. It's usually just because your hands are a little bit wet because they're sweating. He didn't go back and go to the rosin bag after that, which surprises me a little bit because when you see it when it's this warm, that's generally what happened. Wow.
Georgia 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position today. The home run for Meadows was his 3rd of the year. 3-0.
Well, after a big miss to start this AB, those two are just a little off the edge. Crazy wanted both of them. Jeff Head didn't like either. Now he's got his hands full. Been a while since I've seen the old fake bunt on 3-0 in college baseball. Mason Meadows.
Not a fan of that move.
Why aren't you a fan of the fake bunt?
It just seems a little Mickey Mouse. I mean, he's just waving a bat around. He pulled it back early, but just waving a bat around, trying. I mean, I guess.
So that's the pitcher in you.
Right. Yeah, I guess I didn't. It made me mad when I was on the mound.
Yes.
So that's why.
Full disclosure. Meadows represents a tying run, reached for ball 4, and he'll stay at the plate 3-2 still. A little bit of dirt popped up in the eye of Cooper Johnson.
That's a big pitch in this ballgame. We'll see if he's able to find his way on base. But that was a gimme ball 4 right there, and Georgia would be looking pretty good with 1st and 2nd and nobody out. Caracci off the hook there after what looked like a pretty easy take.
After Meadows, Cheney Rogers is due up, and then back to the top of the order for Tucker Maxwell, who's got double-digit home runs.
KP, did you see Cooper with his hands there on that 3-2 pitch just frame the middle of the strike zone? Just like, don't make a pitch. Just give it to me right here.
Yeah, make him do something.
Because he's been towards the edges in this AB, and it's like, hey, man, we have got to challenge with a strike right here.
You remember, I mean, when he got there, when Cooper Johnson got there as a freshman, Mike Bianco immediately said this should be one of the best defensive catchers that I've ever had. He's been fun to watch because he can really defend.
Right here. Is that helpful? I mean,
yeah. I think it is. I think it's just another reminder of, hey, let's not overcomplicate this. You're throwing mid-90s. We got a 2-run lead. If they're going to beat us, just make them do it with a bat.
Yeah.
Now, if it's 0-2, 1-2, it's a little different approach. 3-2, 2-run lead. I got nothing wrong with splitting it right here for Caracci, who's struggled a little bit. He just did it again right there.
Yep.
There's ball 4. And Georgia's got 2 on, down 2 with nobody out in the 9th.
I think this is where it gets tough for Mike Bianco. Let's see how this whole thing ends up playing out. But you got a closer who you want to give every chance in the world to get his confidence back.
Right.
And now you got a game on the line. And you got a game on the line where if you win it, and I still don't think Ole Miss can host even if they go through and win this entire thing. But it's just this battle of what you see on the field and kind of what your heart is telling you a little bit right now. Because for the postseason, if they're going to make a run, they need Caracci to be right. They need Caracci at the back end to come in and slam the door shut.
Well, let's not forget, this is 3 days in a row.
Right.
So it's not, there's not only the struggles of his finish to the season, but it's also a durability issue. You think at some point, how much juice does he have left?
So would that limit him to 20-ish pitches today regardless? Or do you think if he comes out, it's because of ineffectiveness?
Yeah, to me, if he comes out now, it's because of ineffectiveness. If you bring him in the 8th inning, you bring him in to finish the ball game.
And what's interesting is the next option's probably standing right next to him at third base and Ryan Olenek.
Brandon Jernigan is the pinch runner. Here's Cheney Rogers. And he fouls the first one off. Caracci has thrown 29 pitches in this tournament coming into this outing. Rogers squares. And that was a panic for Cole Zabowski trying to hustle in from first base. Parker Caracci threw 13 pitches over a scoreless inning in their 3-2 comeback win over Arkansas yesterday. Would you bunt here?
Yes, I would.
9-hole hitter, yeah.
I would, for sure.
Zabowski halfway home. Bunt up the third base line. Ooh, could have gone third, but he goes to first.
Oh, he had him.
He had him. And I most times I wouldn't say take this chance, but that with one of the best defenders in the country behind home plate, the entire field's in front of him, and that ball didn't get but maybe 10 feet away from home plate. Watch this.
This is what you dream of if you're Cooper Johnson.
Lennox going to get back in time. It's never an easy play,
no,
but that is as easy a play to get a guy at third base unless it's popped up, everybody freezes. But, man, momentum's taking you towards the throw. That one surprises me.
Well, because it's a force, not a tag. Like,
exactly.
I can see it in a tag situation, but when you got the force, man, that was a green light special. Now you let the tying run move into scoring position, and a single, a bouncer through a hole right here, and we got a tie ball game.
Tucker Maxwell 0 for 3. Puts this one in the seats. In booth camera, how'd you guys react? Check it out. Look at yourself. We need more emotion from you, Berkey.
I think we were just both so ready to watch Cooper Johnson come up there and fire it to Olenek. I'm really surprised by that one.
Another one fouled off. 0-2 to Maxwell. 10 home runs in the season. He's driven in 31. Maxwell looking for his first hit in this tournament.
Yeah, it's really been a rough month of May for Tucker Maxwell. Just hadn't got it going, and George has been struggling all year long to find somebody to own this leadoff spot. A little bit similar to Ole Miss, and Tucker Maxwell, he'd like to get going right here. What a great time to get your first hit in the tournament.
Foul. Way foul, and it's going to plinko down the stairs. It's the loneliest ball we've seen all week.
There we go. We got a LSU Tiger fan going to get it. Easy. That was an easy race. Easy money right there.
Patrick Sullivan, the runner at third. Randy Jernigan is at second. Got him swinging in 95. Parker Caracci with a big pitch.
You know, he missed his spot, but I thought this is a spot that they should have gone. Elevate fastball up right there. Maybe the best fastball we've seen from Caracci. Watch where Cooper Johnson sets up. He wants it about 8 inches out. Instead, it's elevated on the inner third of the plate. Maxwell just swings right through it. I know it's not where he wanted to throw it. I think it's where he should have thrown it, and it ended up great.
That's where he's most effective.
Yes.
Just above the belt with that high spin rate heater is really where he's hung his hat over the last 2 years. That fastball just above the belt. Tucker Maxwell comes up with nothing.
This is Riley King. He was 1 for 4.
Now the adrenaline starts flowing again. Get that strikeout. You can see the finish line. Another really good fastball from Caracci.
Did he? He did not. Thought the pitch was a strike.
I thought it was off. I thought the pitch was a ball.
Definitely didn't swing.
Tying run at second base. King chased that one 1-2 now. Ole Miss is strike away from returning to the championship in an effort to defend their title. Parker Caracci, the struggling closer, gets a foul ball.
I like a breaking ball here. I like a breaking ball here. Down in the dirt, you trust your catcher. Take a chance at it right now. If you don't get a swing and miss, you're still 2-2.
King 345 with runners in scoring position this season.
I would worry that the breaking ball could end up over the left field wall. I think you stay with that heater up in the zone. If you're going to throw it, you bounce it, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying you throw it for a strike. I think you trust your catcher. You try to bounce it. And you get a swing and miss, the ball game's over.
Great defensive catcher, Cooper Johnson. Popped him up. Servideo fighting the sun, and he'll put it away for the final out. Ole Miss will be playing on Sunday for the second year in a row.
What an effort by the Rebels. Beating Arkansas and Georgia, 2 national seeds, 2 of the best teams all season long in this league. The Rebels beat the Hogs and the Bulldogs on back-to-back day, and Parker Caracci for the 3rd straight day closes it out. This one a 4-out save. You got to give him a lot of credit, KP.
Yeah, and it's good to see. I mean, for a kid that's battled through some stuff, Mike Bianco stays with him right there. Was that a 4-out or a 5-out save for Caracci right there? 4-out save for Caracci. You could see the emotion right there from Cooper Johnson. I mean, that's a catcher knowing that your guy on the mound needed a little bit of confidence. He gets it right there, and Ole Miss has got a chance to go back-to-back here in Hoover.
Greg Kessinger, 3 hits today, including a 2-run bomb. He's standing by with Chris.